This episode of No Fun City is brought to you by Cutting Edge Nutrition. Hit that subscribe button and comment Cutting Edge down below for your chance to win a protein prize pack. Welcome to the No Fun City podcast, episode 3. We've got a very special guest, but before we get into it, I'm going to say a few things. Graham, do you like this hat? Do you know this company?
10 Tree Apparel, yeah.
Do you know them? You like their gear?
I'm aware of that company.
Right? They're awesome.
They're fantastic.
If you subscribe to my channel, you'll be entered in to win a 10 Tree hat of your choice. It's not going to be this one. This is my hat. But you can be entered in to win. So please subscribe to the channel and you'll be entered in to win one of these. I do a prize pack for every 100 subscribers that I get up until my first 1,000. So be part of that 1,000, please, and thank you. That being said, we have a very special guest today. He's a trainer, both bodybuilding and physique, or just physique.
Yeah, like you say trainer, but...
We'll get in. You're a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm a lot of things.
To be honest. So that's why it's difficult to say what you actually are. But you are a lot of things, Graham. I met you through a buddy, Steve.
Yeah. And
we started working out together. And that's how I know you. That's how we started. And before we get into your story, we're going to do what we always do at the beginning, and that is a story of the week. Story of the week is very interesting, as it always is. Graham, did you know that The Simpsons are getting rid of Apu? Did you hear about this?
No, I'm unaware.
Okay, so you know The Simpsons character Apu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know the whole like PC things that are happening lately, like everything is too PC.
Absolutely.
All right, so now apparently like you can't have an accent in a cartoon. So they're getting rid of Apu because it's not politically correct. Now here's the thing. Okay, if Apu is a new character and they introduced him, you know, I would see more, and there was an uproar, then I would see the side to this, to having this happen. But in the instance, it makes complete sense for them to have a character like that, because the accent wasn't making fun of East Indians or anything like that, or wherever he's from. I'm just going to assume East India. I don't even know. Pakistan, let's just say whatever. As much as it was making it authentic in the sense that this is a character that, you know, it puts into perspective that this is a character that is an immigrant or has migrated or was not born here, you know, or born in the Western world, whatever it is. It's a fictional cartoon. You know what I mean? And in the episodes that I've seen when it comes to Apu having kids, I haven't watched Simpsons in a very long time, so maybe I'm wrong on this. They didn't have accents. The kids spoke like regular English. Like they were babies and stuff, but they sounded like, they made them sound like English babies. Apu's wife, she has an accent as well. That makes sense. She was brought over. That's how they got married.
Right, she's an immigrant, as he is. But why now? Like,
exactly.
How many years has Simpsons been going?
Exactly. So it doesn't make sense. I think everybody is on. I think people who are even PC are on board with them not axing him from the show. And they're not going to make a big deal out of it or something they said. I don't know what the whole deal is, but I just think it's ridiculous. I think at this point, if you're going to do that, well, Groundskeeper Willie, Scottish accent. What's that guy? Barney with the drunken buffoon accent.
Right.
And then, hey, let's get rid of Mo because Mo's got that Boston pub Raleigh accent.
Like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, and Mayor Quimby sounds like he's from the South.
Yeah.
Are we suddenly getting rid of Southern accents too? It just does not make sense. Now, here's the other thing. It's like, are they going to cut the Asian accents too? You know what I mean? The whole thing when it comes to accents with characters is it's not trying to make fun of that nation or that background or the fact that you're an immigrant. It's to portray more authenticity in the character's background without having to state this character's from another country. You know, without having to say that, hey, this guy wasn't born here but is now here and is accustomed to this language and accustomed to this world. And let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that every single character in The Simpsons, for the most part, is yellow and not necessarily a human being. Like, let's be honest. They're cartoons.
Don't they have, like, 4 fingers?
Exactly. Exactly. So they're not even human. Like, people take it way too literal. Yeah. But that being said, I don't think that they should axe Apu from The Simpsons. I think most people would agree with that, it's ridiculous, but it is what it is. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts
that's
on
wild.
this?
Like, no, it honestly doesn't really make any sense to do like now. Like maybe when it came out, like however many seasons it's running, I think it's supposedly the longest standing cartoon ever. But to hammer down on one ethnicity selectively, I mean, there must be something political behind that. Like, why select Apu? Like,
I think
maybe there was some backlash there.
I think what happened was somebody article came out like 6 months ago or whatever it was, and it's like, and
targeted,
exactly
Apu's character specifically. But every character in these cartoons is a stereotype. It's a
or starts with one at
exactly
least. Yeah.
So to single one out just seems absurd.
In fact, getting rid of Apu eliminates the diversity and culture of The Simpsons. If you think about it, it actually eliminates that, because you're getting rid of the diversity that there are people who don't speak English perfectly or have English accents or whatever. You know, and I don't think Apu would have been as much of a loved character if he didn't have the accent to begin with. If you took away Apu's accent, do you think he would have had a remotely more profound sort of like embedded
I think there was
burn
more
in your head?
Impact with his accent was pretty heavy in the show, but everything about him was largely stereotypical. I mean, owning the corner store.
Yeah.
It just, he was a very very deep stereotype of your Indo-American or whatever you want to call it.
Well, we're gonna miss you, Apu.
I'll miss Apu.
My parents are immigrants with accents. I'm sure maybe yours. Actually, were your parents born in Canada?
Well, my mother is Bulgarian, and she was born in Bulgaria.
Oh, crazy.
Now, because she's Caucasian, she blends in quite well.
Yeah.
But my dad is actually born in Vancouver, and he's Chinese.
Nice.
So people always think my dad's an immigrant because he's a visual minority, but my mom's the immigrant.
That's funny.
Right? It's just backwards.
That's funny. Perfect episode title.
And there's other things. People ask me, "Oh, who's Chinese? Your mother, your father?" My last name is Chan.
Yeah.
Like, figure it out.
I honestly thought both your parents were Asian. I just assumed. You
know, if you go on Facebook and you sort of listen to the world commentary, or at least in North America, there's a lot of Chinese that are, claiming there's a lot of racism towards Asian, ethnic Asians.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But then I walk around Vancouver and Richmond, and I think, how could you be a victim of racism? Like, 80% of our population is Asian here. So
I think
it's almost
the
impossible.
other 20% that are causing the racism.
Like, you're outnumbered. You're outclassed in many, many ways.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't see that here. But, I see it on, I log online and I see, various people. Usually in the U.S., they're still claiming that people are racist towards Asians, and they get really butthurt over it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you need to come to Vancouver.
I hear it's also when you go to Asia, if you're like brown or whatever, you're kind of frowned upon there.
Well, it's unspoken that anyone who has darker skin is typically considered like more originating from the Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia, Thailand, Bali, that area. So you're sort of considered like a lower class citizen.
Yeah. What Bobby Lee refers to as jungle Asians,
exactly.
Which is racist as hell.
It is. It's a lot. There's internal racism going on.
Yeah.
We got our own shit to deal with.
He says it as a joke. Shout out to Bobby Lee, because I love that comedian.
Yeah.
But that being said, let's get into you, Graham, because you have crazy interesting stories to tell. Your whole life to me is interesting. Number one, you do train and do sort of like physique competitions, as does your brother Ricky, right? Richie, sorry, Richie, who's massive. I've seen that guy work out once. Hold on, before you get into you, I've seen your brother work out once. I saw him walk up to the weights, plant like every single 100-pound weight that was in the entire gym onto the bar, and I literally watched everybody watch him lift this thing. He's massive.
Yeah.
But he does physique too as well, not bodybuilding.
In the competition realm, which is it's its own kind of industry, I guess. It's just there. It's kind of like there's like fitness competitions, and then within this realm, there is divisions.
Yeah.
And there's right now for us guys, we've got bodybuilding, the physique, which is those guys in the board shorts.
Yeah.
It's more of like a modeling type look. Like it's based on bone, like structure and having some muscle, but mostly like waist and up.
Yeah.
So we've got bodybuilding, we've got physique. That's what that's called. And then there's this new division called classic physique.
Okay.
Which is a division that brought back some of the elements of bodybuilding in the 70s when obviously guys are a little bit smaller. They're more sort of like the images you see of Arnold, with a little bit more, less just mass, but more like aesthetic.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. Like more of like bringing the art form into
Is it like in between bodybuilding and physique or something?
In a way, it's like bodybuilding but with a weight cap. So they don't let you get too big, because what's happening is the guys are just getting massive because drugs are getting better, training methods are getting better, diets are getting better, and the standard is just more mass. Totally. Like there's a new standard of mass. Yeah. So what we've done, like my brother and I, we started in bodybuilding and we pulled back into the classic physique division, which is a little bit more of like when you see those images of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 70s.
Totally.
Like he's not massive, but he's pretty damn big, and there's a lot of flow to the body, and it's a little bit more artistic than say the freaks of the new bodybuilding, the new age bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So we've gone into that, and my brother just recently became a pro, which is really difficult to do. For all the amateur guys out there, trying to turn pro is a huge accomplishment.
He looked like he was pro 5 years ago.
Check this out. He just landed a magazine cover. I don't know if you can show that to the audience.
You could definitely show that. I'm gonna pop that on the.
This is
anyway, regardless.
This is my older brother here, and he just landed. This was a big deal. So he turns pro.
That's crazy.
And what's even crazier is, when you're in the NHL, you turn pro when you're 18, 19, 21. Just when you get out of junior, and then you're how long do you last? You play.
You're finished when you're like 30.
What is the
35? 35.
Yeah, actually, you're wrapping
maybe
it up.
40. Yeah, if you really want to push it.
Like the D-man and the goalies last a little bit longer, right? Bodybuilding, 39. He turned pro at 39. Dang. It's like every other sport. You're wrapping it up. You're looking at, what am I going to do now, right? Bodybuilding, you're just getting started, because
is
that's
that
how long
the
it
average?
Takes. Average is, I'd say, like mid-30s to turn pro. So he's probably 4 or 5 years later than the average guy.
How do you determine pro, though? Like, do you get some sort of card in the
mail? Yeah, they actually offer. Like, you win. You have to win a specific competition that is going to give out a pro card. Okay. And then I think it used to be like literally a card. Now it's just like a certificate.
And then once you have it, you're forever, or
as long as you pay the organization every month, or every year, there's a fee. Then you get to continue to compete as a pro. Okay, that's sort of a big deal, because you're in, you're at the next level, and now you can compete for money. That's the rule.
That's what magazine is that?
This is Status. It's like it's a local. It's Canada wide, I believe.
It's based out of Vancouver.
But yeah, the editor he's from Vancouver, so
nice.
But anyway,
that's awesome, dude. That's good for him.
What I'm trying to do is, like, in the bodybuilding world, I'm shooting to get this pro card.
Totally.
And it's like another life. It's like a life journey to get that far.
Yeah, so. And it's good to have your brother on your.
You know what? It is helpful because it's really inspirational.
Totally.
When I saw him making another run at it, because it's not something that you full tilt your whole life. Like, you have periods where you go, and then it's hard to have that level of intensity for like every single year.
Of course.
So I slacked a bit last year, and then this year I saw him just running through. Like, he did like 3 shows back to back to back, turned pro, started landing magazine covers, and I said, well, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm traveling, not paying attention, kind of like half-assed training, and then I sort of got my shit together and just did a competition like 2 weeks ago as my stepping stone to turn pro.
Totally.
And magazines, whatever, and nobody really reads them anymore.
Yeah.
But it's still something to get on the cover, I think.
Of course,
Like,
100%.
It feels good, right?
Yeah. And I mean,
successful.
it's there. Yeah, it's there, right? It's
so whatever you want to call that, like, it's a degree of success, I think, if that's your goal.
That's awesome. So. That's crazy. So let's rewind just a little bit, and we'll come back to where we're at now. But let's talk about, real quickly, your back, because there's just so much, dude. I don't even know where to begin with you. Started, I guess, working out in high school, right? Because you used to be I want you to send me that photo where you're that Asian scrawny kid going like this. You know the one I'm talking about? You need to send me that photo so I could pop it on screen. There definitely is, because you've posted on your Instagram or something. You're like, 20 years ago I was like this. Now I'm like, But beyond high school, like once you started working on all that jazz, you actually went and joined the Army, correct? I'm not wrong there.
Yeah, I was in the military.
For how many years?
Somewhere between 2 and 3 years.
That's right. And then you did travel a bit. You went to Asia, Thailand, I think.
I've been to Thailand, Japan. I've been to India.
Yeah, so we're gonna cover some stuff there as well. And then now you also own a nutrition and health sort of supplement store. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, tag that. What's the name?
Cutting Edge Nutrition.
That's right. And where is it located?
That's in Maple Ridge.
That's right. So you want to go see Graham in Maple Ridge, Cutting Edge Nutrition.
Yeah, we are about 40 minutes outside of Vancouver in traffic, maybe an hour, but...
Yeah. But if you're in the Lower Mainland or Tri-Cities, definitely go check it out. You could even check them out online, and I will put all that information in the description. But let's go back. Okay, at high school, you finish off high school, and you signed with the military right away, or what?
No. That's the funny thing is, I went to UBC, like our university, right away.
Yeah.
And the only reason I really went to university is because I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do in my life. So I just signed up. I just paid my tuition, and I did 4-year bachelor's at UBC.
What did you do your bachelor's?
The thing is, I didn't really know at the time, so I took political science as my major, but pretty much an arts degree, which is...
Yeah. So that's why you always talk about politics.
Useless.
I see it now. That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. Okay, so you got your BA then.
Yeah.
Then you finished and you're like...
You know what? I got right out of the academia. I sort of took an exit. I didn't want to do a master's. I was just tired. I was tired of being at school. Mm-hmm. And I don't agree with the structure of like our universities. We took there's a lot of courses that you're just pulling yourself through them. And every student, I think, had that. Yeah. A degree of, dragging yourself through classes that you aren't necessarily excited about. Mm-hmm. So I got out of there as quick as I could. At the time, I got a job with Electronic Arts testing video games.
Oh, nice.
But I got something to say about video game testing. So everybody has this idea that you got a job with Electronic Arts or some video game company that you're going to be playing video games all day as your job.
What I was going to bring up. Yeah.
So and everyone else says this must be a dream job. You're playing games. Like how could it be a bad thing?
But you're not playing it like that.
So let me explain this is what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
So I'll just explain to you what my job was there. Like not everyone just pools in a room and like works on a game. Like we all get a piece of this game. Mm-hmm. There's anywhere from, I don't know how many people, but every game has a team that works on it. So my job, I got hired in as a guidelines tester. Yeah. So my job was to take this fat stack of Sony guidelines, mm-hmm. and the thing was probably like 3 inches thick. It was an encyclopedia mm-hmm. of all the rules that Sony decided video games had to comply with. So what I had to do was this entire game had to comply with this set of rules, mm-hmm. and it was laid out like Sony guideline 1.1.2 or 5.2.1. So I went through this thing with a fine-tooth comb. And keep in mind, like, you're not working with the entire game. The game is in a process of being built. Yeah. So what happens is your team lead gives you a build, or the development team gives you a build, mm-hmm. and sometimes it's just the logos. This is as far as they've gotten. Yeah. The Electronic Arts and the FIFA logo come up, mm-hmm. and now you're sitting there with a stopwatch, like literally timing how long these logos stay on the screen.
Okay.
And then you're timing that screen. You're timing the black screen, because the black screen has to be a specific amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's just every piece of this game fits these like guidelines.
Yeah.
And you just have to find them and notice them. And then as you notice the issues with them, you submit what's called a bug into a bug database. And then usually the development team will go through your bugs, find them, and then change them in the next build. They'll have the bug fixed.
Yeah.
And then basically your job is to take that bug, test it again, make sure it's been fixed, and you sign off on it.
Yeah.
And you just keep doing this, and
totally.
8 months later, the game is built.
And this extends, like, to put it as far as how mundane it is, it can extend as far as your job is to look at the names of all the players listed and make sure they are spelled correctly and have the right numbers on the jerseys. Things like that. So, whereas somebody else might be actually playing the game, causes a freeze in the game, and now has to replicate that freeze and try to, like, say, okay, this is what happens, and this is how I got to the freeze point. And I mean, even filling out that bug form must be a pain in the butt.
So the interesting thing about working on this game, which is like a football game, like a sports game, is that because I was in a guidelines tester, that meant that most of my time was spent scrolling, pulling menus up, timing things, checking to see how, like, it's been a long time, but there's the ways that the controller has to be displayed. Yeah. And Sony is very particular on how they want their hardware displayed on the screen. They have a lot of different guidelines that they want you to follow. So I spent all this time scrolling through menus, probably 9 months doing this. And by the end, the AI testers had actually been playing the game. So they were testing, like, basically the logic of the player, of the artificial intelligence in the game. So finally we actually got together and we had like a 4-on-4 match with the multiplayer, and I basically didn't even know how to play the game. Like, I didn't know what buttons would pass or kick or whatever. I was like just a child when it came to it, and it was weird because it was our game we'd been working on, but I stayed away from playing that game. Really, I was just so focused on the details that you'll probably never see. Yeah. That's crazy. And the credits. I spent a lot of time on the credits. So, yeah, I didn't play the game. So all these people, like, it wasn't, sunshine and rainbows. It was a lot of tedious.
Yeah, I know. Around. I mean, the first time I heard video game tester, somebody, like, one of my cousins was one, I was, like, thrilled. And I'm like, oh my gosh. All you do is play games, and they're like, no.
But having said that, it's still you're a video game tester. Yeah. Like, the amount of physical labor you have to do is non-existent. Totally. Like, you literally sit in a chair all day. You can lean back. I mean, you can bring your food to your desk. There's a gym at Electronic Arts.
There's a lot of things.
There's a cafeteria. It's cushy. Yeah. No matter how you look at it, it's cushy. So it's not that bad. Like, as a student, I think it was a good choice for me to just screw around. Yeah. Totally. And you make some good... Back then, it was pretty good money. Yeah. They were paying you well above minimum wage. Nice. To literally just play games.
And you got that discount.
And yeah, games were what, like $20 or something?
Something like that.
I left... After I finished Electronic Arts, I took a break from school, then I went back and finished my degree after. I had left a semester behind, and I came back and finished it. But right after that was when I decided to open up become an entrepreneur. Yeah. It was... At the time, online wasn't that big. This would have been probably 2004, 2005, around that time. So brick and mortar retail seemed like a good option at the time. I got a job at a hardware store right out of university, and I sort of had an epiphany moment. Like, this is my life. Mm-hmm. I'm like working in an auto parts desk. Yeah. And I'm university educated. Like, something's wrong here. So that's when my brother approached me with this idea of starting up our own retail store. Mm-hmm. And that's how that started. And that was, like I said, 2005. I think we started that.
So he was already on the roll with that sort of like nutrition, bodybuilding, and all that jazz? Or was it just like an epiphany he had randomly?
It's like you can't stop your passion in life, I find. So looking back, like I remember when I was at school, sorry, this is going to get this a little off track, but when I was in university, like you'd choose your own schedule. So you'd pick your classes, sociology at 9 a.m., this class, and then whatever, political science 101 at 4 o'clock. So I would actually like schedule my classes around my workouts. Oh, nice. So, and it got to the point where I was giving myself like 2-hour breaks.
Yeah.
So I could walk to the gym, get a full workout in, and then get to lunch, and then get to my class. Yeah. And I made this sort of my priority. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't clue in that like this is what I should be doing. Because my passion level is for fitness. It's not really for, sociology or anthropology or any of these like disciplines, right?
Yeah.
I was just there to work out. And I had 2 gym memberships at the time. I was working out at my home gym and I was working out at UBC on the campus gym. And I was working out 6 days a week. I didn't even know why. I was just obsessed with it.
Okay.
And then when I quit, then it just kind of made sense. Like I'm going to go into a sports nutrition store. This is my brother offered me. He said, "Let's do this. Let's open up a store." And I didn't even think. I was like, "Okay, let's do it." Like this sounds like a good idea. Yeah. It just made more sense. Like what did I have to lose? I was selling auto parts with a degree. Mm-hmm. Like it just no-brainer for me. It was kind of at a time in my life where I didn't have shit going on. Like I had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's where a lot of kids are these days is they graduate from university or college, or maybe they haven't, and they don't have a lot going on. It's just like sky's the limit right now. Like pick something, just do anything.
Yeah. And
at that time, like, yeah, it's like, okay, so I had to put a little bit of money into it, but it was a hell of a lot better than like working for somebody else. It made too much sense to just do something, like try. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we opened up this retail store that's still going today. Like Cutting Edge Nutrition Maple Ridge has been there since 2005. And we don't work in the store as much as we used to, but yeah, it's still going.
Yeah.
And it's hard to let your first business fail because you got a lot of history with it.
Yeah, you usually run into failures within the business anyway, even if you succeed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like mini failures.
But I mean,
successes.
Was it a big investment to start it up? I think we did it as cheaply as we could.
Okay.
Like we started it up from scratch. We didn't buy an existing store. Mm-hmm. We looked at buying a store, and even in 2005, I think $30,000 to $50,000 was a good chunk of change for some students. Mm-hmm. So we decided that we would take an empty building, paint the walls, do the floor, and stock it ourselves, create our own name and our own brand, and we start from there.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the launch pad for like almost everything we've done in the fitness in fitness is had that store was like our home base.
Okay.
And it's everything we did centered out of that business.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, any of these businesses, like most of them fail, mm-hmm. and that's just the reality of it. It's hard to come up with a good idea, and to ride it through, and it could take years before you're actually seeing any profit margin with these. Yeah. Brick and mortar, I don't even recommend it in 2018.
Unknown variables. Oh, for sure.
I just say kids ask me like. These young kids, 19, 20-year-olds, to say, "Hey, I want to own a store like you. I want to run
everything online. Okay, do it.
And
do it online."
That's what I tell them. Like,
do it online.
What the hell? You want to pay
rent,
heat? You want to pay for like hydro?
Yeah.
You want to pay a landlord?
No, thank you.
No, you want to staff it?
Yeah.
I'm like, what you're left over is what you're operating with, and out of that, what's left over is what you pay yourself with.
Totally.
If there's not a lot left over, guess who doesn't get paid? You don't get paid.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I recommend kids
Whatever.
anyone who's
Entrepreneurs out there.
young entrepreneurs, I look at them and I say, give a good thought about how much your operating costs are going to be in today's world. Like everything done online, the operating costs are much lower. Like you can get started off of like so little.
Yeah, because there's no rent, there's no floor space.
Do it out of your basement.
This could be this.
Holy shit!
Free, right here. I'm living here anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shit. There's my storage space. You know what I mean? Like you could just do what you do. Just do it online and
park
just
your
funnel
car
the money towards marketing.
Park your car in the street. If you're gonna retail something, fill your garage up with it.
Exactly.
Nobody knows online where your headquarters are.
Just have a good brand.
Your headquarters could be your parents', cellar or your attic or something, right?
Totally. And I think honestly that goes for everything except for a few businesses. But when it comes to things like selling supplements or selling t-shirts, clothing, things that that aren't exactly regulated hardcore, just online, and there's your storefront.
Hard goods, people don't care where it ships from. No. Maybe
they do, and if they do, they want a Canadian brand, then they come to you, and if they want an American brand, they go to the American dude. But like
realistically, you don't need a storefront. In 2018, the storefront is it's expensive. It's overly expensive to have.
Totally. And
starting there is just absurd for like young entrepreneurs, unless you have copious amounts of money to begin with. Yeah. Or just on the cost of renovating spaces and having all these expenses is just insane. I run this thing I don't want to be a dream crusher. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy that says bad idea. I want to be inspirational, and I want people to realize their potential. Yeah. But it's likely that they're going to fail. Mm-hmm. It's very likely that they're going to fail, and then they're going to have to reorient, change the site, and they're going to have to fail again. It's likely that you're going to go through a process of major failure before you find the hit. Totally. And that's just the way it is with everything. Yeah. Like I've had multiple failed businesses. I opened up a shop in Mission, which is, I don't know, it's a little bit further away, in another city, and we had to sell it because it was in the red every month. And I've seen a lot of our businesses.
You opened shop in Mission,
it could, right?
Graham, come on, you should have known better there, right?
But it's like you're gonna fail with a lot of things, and that's just the reality of it. Yeah. And even in the process of Japadog probably made a shit ton of mistakes during where they started to where they are now. Yeah. So to not go for it, you have to go for something. Mm-hmm. You have to make a movement towards whatever whatever that passion is, and try to monetize that in some way. But it's likely that you're going to run up against a lot of difficulties and failures along the way. Totally. And you may have to switch gears and probably change the product you're offering, or change the market, or change your strategy. It's like to nail the head on the first time, square on, is really difficult. Totally. I don't see that happening. It's just almost impossible. Yeah. But that leads me to my latest venture. So I've been a lot of people have been asking me since I've sort of got this channel to this product called kratom. It's pretty popular in certain circles, but it's not a household name. No. And
I think more people know what it is now than
it's become
a few years ago. But yeah.
I think in the last 6 months it's become a lot more popular. And there's actually a really good documentary on Netflix called A Leaf of Faith. Okay. And if anyone's interested in having a look at it, it promotes what it is it's a plant that grows native in Southeast Asia, and it has a lot of not healing properties, but it has a lot of interesting effects on the body.
It's like catnip for humans.
Basically,
that's one way you could describe it. By the way, this shit's horrible for me. I'll say that much.
It's not for everybody.
I know, yeah, that's the thing. So I just want to state out there that depending on your body, this might not be for you. But look into it because it can be for you.
Yeah, so people have described it as the opposite of marijuana. So instead of, some people have I'll take a little bit more, have a reduction in like desire and motivation, smoking marijuana. I mean, some people get inspired or whatever. But I find that a very small dosage of kratom in the 2 to 3 gram dose, which is just sort of like a pinch, taken orally, improves sociability. I think people use it as a substitute for alcohol at times. It affects similar to caffeine in a way, but like in high doses, it's energy producing. Mm-hmm. So basically, long story short, is I'm trying to get this stuff more popular in Vancouver. It's already here. I mean, you can buy it in bulk. There's places doing it. Everyone's sort of skeptical, not skeptical, but they're sort of keeping it kind of on the DL a little bit because no one knows about like how legal, like the legality of it. It's obviously not approved by Health Canada for sale, so we're sort of sliding it into the market.
Okay.
What I do is I import it directly from Asia, and
How is it not approved? I've seen people like buying it.
It's for sale. Like cannabis culture.
Yeah.
You can get it at the Urban Shaman. That's down on what is that, Granville Street? Granville?
But you can't maybe have like a marketed brand that's like legally this is what we sell.
Right, because in order for a health supplement to be on the market, you have to get an NPN number, National Product Number. Has to have your labels approved and the ingredients have to be approved by Health Canada. That's the legal way to do it. But obviously, there's a lot of places are just doing it. Typically, like in the U.S., it's like cigar shops. In Canada, it would be like dispensaries.
Yeah.
So we're sort of sliding it out into the public.
Okay.
Sort of on the DL.
Yeah.
But I feel like we can get this stuff a little bit more popular, and I think there's a big market for it. But where the therapeutic use is that it is actually in higher doses as an opiate.
Okay.
So it acts on your opiate receptors. So what I want to do is I'd like to bring it to market.
Yeah.
Just get it out there, and we'll see what we can do. I mean, if it becomes banned, like if the government does ban it, obviously, like we'll have to sort of deal with that when it comes, and may have to keep it on the underground. But yeah, in higher doses, it can be used. Like I have a couple of my friends that instead of like they've got serious addiction problems, and I've got a couple friends of mine that they've had addictions problems with Percocets or Oxycontin, and what they do is they just use small amounts of kratom, and they take this instead of the idea is that you wean off of your opiate addiction with kratom, and you stagger the dosages. Like you take it like 2 or 3 days a week, take a couple days off, so you can slowly wean yourself off of like an opiate using kratom. Yeah. However, people with addictions can replace their opiate addictions with kratom addictions. Yeah. So you're always running into that.
That's what I hear. As well. You just need to look into it yourself because, like for me, it doesn't work. For me, it's horrible for my body. Like it does some
what
crazy
happens
shit
when
to
you...
me. So you know Alpha Brain?
Yeah.
If I take something like Alpha Brain, or if I take that, I get really effed up. Like I'll sleep for 4 or 5 hours. One night I woke up after taking Alpha Brain. This is how I realized.
Well, this is Alpha Brain.
And Alpha Brain. Yeah, I'm saying it's
cordyceps mushrooms.
Yeah.
Is there lion's mane in there?
I don't know, but there's caffeine. There's a few things. Yeah, it's got the mushrooms in there too. That mushrooms are actually really cool. That's a whole other story though. But the Alpha Brain, that's Shroom Tech. Like Shroom Tech is dope. But Alpha Brain I cannot take at all, which is a shame. Because it's just bad for me. But the thing is, on the label, it doesn't say that crap. So you guys just need to be careful because things like this or Alpha Brain or whatever, like you don't know how it's going to affect you. So just make sure that you don't have you're not taking any other prescription medications, or you're not somehow prone to having health issues with essential oils or natural herbs and supplements.
Well, the way I see it is, I mean, certain people have more addictive tendencies. Like I can take kratom 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
I stick with a 2 to 4 gram dose, which is the mildest dose that you could take with it.
Yeah.
They call it the threshold dose. You'll have some very like noticeable but not potent effects.
Super mild.
Right. So it's mild. It's subtle.
Yeah.
I get a little bit increased energy. I could definitely feel more alert. It must act on my dopamine receptors because I'm more calm and a little bit more patient with my customers and my clients.
Okay.
If I take it too late at night, obviously it keeps me up a little bit. So because it is a mild stimulant. So 2 to 4 grams, I can take it 5 days a week. I am not an addictive person. I could just stop taking it, and I don't seem to have like any withdrawal symptoms at all. I just kind of stop. It happens once in a while when my shipments run out, and I go, oh, it's been about 3 or 4 days. Haven't taken any kratom and haven't really had any desire to. And then, I come back to it, take it for a few days, and then go on vacation, forget about it. And I don't see the withdrawal symptoms, but then I have a friend who he's the one using it to get off his opiate addiction. I don't even know what he's taking. I'm guessing he's at the higher doses. Taking higher doses, probably 5 to 10 grams. And he says he goes through withdrawals. When he doesn't take his kratom every single day, I think he's even taking it twice a day. He said he'll have 2 to 3 days of cold sweats, typical opiate withdrawal symptoms. So he gets it. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, it affects...
It's so... Every person is so individual, the way that they react to these. I mean, you said you can't even deal with kratom.
Yeah, I can't even take it,
So obviously I'm not gonna leave you with a bunch of bags of it.
You can leave me with some and I can give them away, but I personally can't take
But a lot of people, the question I get when they... Like, I'm not like a scientist, but I've had a lot of personal experience using kratom. But people say, oh, what is it like? And I'm sure a lot of your listeners are hardcore marijuana smokers.
I like how you just
I'm just making assumptions. Like a bunch of potheads.
You know what? Not every single one of my listeners is a pothead. They might all be from Vancouver more than they are potheads.
Yeah, so people that smoke a lot of marijuana and they say, I've never tried kratom, what does it do? And a lot of the time, if they're heavy marijuana smokers, they do a lot of edibles. I'm like, it's really mild. Like, you will barely even know that you're on anything. Because I don't know why there's a stigma behind kratom that it's like something to be careful of. I don't know how that got out there.
I think with everything that's kind of new or not really talked about.
I think everyone's unsure about it. And
exactly.
I've had friends warn me. They said, look, careful with that kratom stuff.
Yeah.
As they're...
I know.
Fucking eat 500 mgs of THC.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And they're warning me about this very, very mild sedative that's like,
totally.
2 to a couple of grams of it is very almost unnoticeable for most people. Yeah. And people that eat a lot of edibles, they're upset. They say, "What the hell? You told me this stuff was good. I didn't even feel it." I'm like, it's not gonna knock you out. You're not gonna be laying on your kitchen floor twitching. Yeah. Like, this is not a psychedelic.
That's hilarious.
But I feel like it enhances for me it enhances my energy levels, and I get a little bit more, it's a mood enhancing. It lowers my anxiety just a little bit so that I'm a little more compassionate to people. I find it's good for anti-anxiety as well. Some people claim it helps with their depression. But anyway, I'm trying to bring it to market. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm kind of going in blind. I'm bringing it in.
What's the company name? Or wait, I guess you're not allowed to...
My product is called K-Boost.
K-Boost.
And we're starting off with pure 100% kratom strains. Yeah. There's various different strains from different parts of Southeast Asia. Eventually, I plan to do a few blends with things like bee pollen. We'll do a few mixes in there and see, a few different nootropic formulas. Yeah. But that's just down the road because it's pretty expensive to launch a supplement company. So, but right now, you can get the powder. I got the powder available in packets. My capsules, I hate to give it away, but I will be coming out with a capsule. And that's within the next month or two.
Nice.
We're hoping for a February launch. because kratom, if any of you guys know, if you've ever taken it, it tastes terrible. It's one of the most horrible tasting plants. What it is it's ground up leaves.
Aren't you supposed to just pour it in your coffee or something?
You know what? I've seen people mix it into a tea. I've tried it with hot water, cold water. It's just disgusting.
What about coffee?
It's like dirty leaf water. That's what we call it.
Oh, okay.
So I recommend that you can drink it in any way you like. You can mix it into a green smoothie. It's probably the easiest way to get it down.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just mix it with cold water, and then I'll chase it with my kombucha tea, which is kind of my little thing.
Yeah.
Got my own little ritual with it.
Nice.
Put 2 grams in a cup, cold water, and chase it. But the capsules will be a much more efficient delivery system. Because people don't want to taste it. They don't want to mix it. It's kind of messy as well. It's like a very finely ground powder, and it just kind of gets everywhere.
Yeah.
It looks like matcha tea. You've seen it.
Yeah.
So,
totally. Yeah, I know what it looks like.
Yeah, so it's getting a lot of press as a cure, not a cure, but like helping people with their addictions. Mm-hmm. But I think in the very small dose, it has a lot of daily applications. Kind of like how psilocybin is now being used in a microdose.
Oh, yeah,
People are taking these daily for whatever reason, for PTSD or whatever the latest studies are. But same thing with kratom, very small doses taken daily or staggering your days with it. I think it can help people just be more productive. I think it's a great productive solution.
In the summers, fun fact, I microdose psychedelic mushrooms in the summers. You want to know why?
Yeah.
I do it because I have really, really bad allergies in the summertime. And I don't know if you know this, but psychedelic mushrooms,
makes
something in it, it clears up your sinuses and alleviates your allergies. In fact, there are some mushrooms that are in allergy medication, like that type of chemical or compound that's in the mushroom is in these allergy medications that take away your allergies. So when I have really, really bad allergies, I will actually microdose a gram or less of magic mushrooms.
Hold on.
I'm not shitting you.
Your microdose is not 1 gram.
No, 1 gram or less of mushrooms. Swear to God. Yeah.
Because when I typically think microdose, I think like 0.2 grams. Like
no, with magic mushrooms, like if I do 3 grams or more of magic mushrooms, that's when you'll start to hit psychedelic. Yeah. If you do 1 gram or less, you won't even know. Just like kratom, you won't even know you took anything.
You haven't tried the mushrooms that I can get my hands on. Then.
I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm just
that's interesting
them,
because to my knowledge, the realm of like 0.2 grams, 0.25, 0.3 grams is typically considered microdose. 1 gram is a full dose. Like it's getting into
I see. Well, I'm saying like 1 gram below. So 1 gram at the most and then downward. Yeah. So maybe it's 0.5, maybe it's 0.7, just whatever it may be. But I don't think I could work on 1 gram of mushrooms. I make sure that it's no more than 1 gram. Yeah. Right? Because I know that's
you're going to feel the cells.
Yeah, totally. But I know that if I do upwards of 1 gram, I'll be fine and I'll still be able to do it because I've done that amount for the microdose or whatever you want to call it.
So what do? Do you work on 1 gram of mushrooms?
Honestly, it's just like it's as if I'm asking you, can you work on kratom? It's the identical thing for me, but I mean,
do you feel,
everybody's different.
Creativity enhanced?
Sure. Anything? Yeah. I feel more uplifted slightly.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I did like 3 grams, I'd feel even more uplifted and things would be moving. But I'm really good on mushrooms, meaning that it doesn't matter. I've done them I don't do this. Sounds really bad, but I haven't done mushrooms for a year. Yeah. But I can do them, and I could be completely fine. I could be on 3.5 grams of mushrooms right now, and I could talk to you like nothing's happening.
If anyone follows like Terrence McKenna, he was insistent that we do 5 dried grams. This is his thing. 5 dried grams. Silent darkness, so that you can transcend or whatever it is he called it. But the visuals are very intense if you take away the stimulus.
Yes.
But he recommends a bare minimum of 5 dry, and he's a small guy. Like Terrence McKenna couldn't have been more than 140 pounds, right? So the guys at 180 pounds, like that means for your body, like you probably should be doing 7-8 grams.
I do not recommend any.
Like that's a high dose. Yeah, right?
That's a very high dose. But I think the most mushrooms I've ever done in one sitting was 7 grams.
That's a high. That's a
high dose, and I was tripping, and that's where I want. That's why I took the 7 grams, was because I wanted to get to the psychedelic, like an extreme psychedelic.
You wanted the breakthrough.
Yeah, and mind you, this was early on in my college days when I first started experimenting with mushrooms and stuff. So like, you know, the more the merrier back then. Right now, it's like I don't look at mushrooms of, I'm going to do psychedelics today. Like, if I have bad allergies, maybe I'll go get some mushrooms and I'll take like, a gram or less now.
I've tried that. I've tried half a gram at work.
Yeah.
Just dealing with customers or retail setting.
Yeah.
It was a little difficult. Like,
oh, really?
My mindset, it was definitely, my brain was operating in a different sphere than I'm used to. And I had trouble getting up and putting on my game face to deal with customers. And that was a half a gram, anywhere from 0.2 to 0.5 grams. And I stopped doing that. It was difficult.
I don't recommend that on the daily all
Some
the time.
days I'd sink into my chair and just be like, the protein's on the right.
Yeah.
Just get it. But yeah, I should tell you about this one experience I had that I created on psilocybin, on mushrooms. And this wasn't that long ago. This was a couple years ago. We have these ceremonies in Vancouver, actually. They're getting more popular. So I was really nervous going into the ayahuasca. I get a little bit weird when it comes to psychedelics. Even though I like to do them sometimes, I still get a little nervous.
So you just did, wait, real quick. You just did this just for the hate.
Doing
it?
I think it's because I had it in my head I wanted to explore almost all the major psychedelics, because there's a lot of them and I can't get them all, but I had it in my mind that at some point I was going to do an ayahuasca ceremony just to experience it. Totally. And I did this one in Vancouver. But what I wanted to get at was, we took the set and setting is everything when you're talking psychedelics. So if you're at a concert and everyone's yelling and it's just an uncomfortable environment, it's going to be a tough trip. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be a harder trip depending on the setting. Totally. But the way this organization runs an ayahuasca ceremony is everyone wears white. Mm-hmm. So you're in you're in the purest color. Yeah. You're not wearing your typical clothes, so everyone's sort of uniform in that way. There is we had somebody who was a self-proclaimed shaman. I don't know if they were a real shaman, but they were very good at
dealing with everyone.
Their energy was good.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were keeping us sort of coherent, and it was very organized. They did interviews first. So we went to this house. I'm not going to say where it is, just because it's probably not a good idea. They don't want us talking about it with the public. But we went to this house, and we all picked a spot, like a meditative spot on a floor. Mm-hmm. So we all got a floor space and made these very comfortable beds. And this is where we were going to meditate. This is where the ceremony was going to happen. So obviously, like ayahuasca is a tea, mm-hmm. but it's a combination of a root and a vine, which creates this, it's like an oral DMT, basically. But anyway, so what I wanted to get at was that the whole experience was we went in with the most calm atmosphere, very calm attitude. Yeah. And we meditated first, and everyone sort of got a chance to relax, and the energy was very, very level and tranquil. So that set the stage for when we did the tea. Like, we very gracefully were lifted up and came back down. We were in full meditation, like eyes closed, eye masks on. We took away all the visual stimulus, and we went into it as deeply as we could. So I took this idea and I said, wait a second. I did some research in psilocybin, like the magic mushroom. has a history of being used in this way, in a ceremonial way. So, because when people do, like, in North America, when people consume magic mushrooms, they're at a party or they're hanging out with friends. It is never treated like this.
Yeah.
It's never treated, historic, like the way it was probably historically. All over the world, like the magic mushrooms have been used in ceremony. It's just been forgotten. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this. So I got together with one of my friends and I said, let's create this. Let's create the ceremony, and let's take our bodies and our minds into this, let's meditate into this, and we'll see where we can go with it. So 5 dry grams, complete darkness. I ran it like an ayahuasca ceremony.
Yeah. How many people were there?
Just me and one of my friends.
Okay, cool.
And the two of us, we got together. We played very similar music to what they had played at our ayahuasca.
Yeah.
So very instrumental, uplifting music. We had that running in the background. And it was the most, I can't even explain, the most profound experience. I've never been able to do this on magic mushrooms before.
Yeah.
It's like I can't even explain it. It was very, to me, it was as powerful as ayahuasca.
Okay.
Like I fell into this very deep meditation. The visuals were incredible. It was like I was exploring like almost like different universes.
Yeah.
And I could tangibly see them in the back of my eyelids. And I was cruising through, like Terence McKenna says that the mushroom is very cosmic. I felt that it was very cosmic. Like I was tapping into this information that was locked into the mushroom, like this spirit or whatever of the mushroom. I was tapping into it and I was traveling through it because I treated it differently. I didn't go in like I'm going to, play Super Mario Kart and do mushrooms. Like I was completely black. Like I had an eye mask on. I couldn't see anything. I meditated for half an hour first. I was deep in meditation, almost asleep. And it was incredible. Like the things and the it's like, I can't even put it to words because it's like it loses its infinite nature.
Yeah.
When people say, well, what was it like? I said, I saw infinity.
Yeah.
Through the mushroom. And the mushroom like literally allowed me to see infinity through the help of it. Like it allowed me to transcend with it. And I remember I was meditating. I was on the 5 dry grams. I don't remember, like I had almost forgotten where I was. It was like I was so deep into meditation with it. And I remember breaking out in tears. And I was just crying, just sobbing. And it's like I was sobbing over the beauty of life and death. Like I kept feeling what I call infinity. So no end in each direction, basically. Like no past or present, no time. Everything just stretched. Yeah. So and life and death is stretched. Life, death. There was no end to it. I had images of the trees being low to it was very odd, like being low to the ground. I had an image of a giant tree with splinters flying off of it, and each splinter contained infinity in itself, so life and death. And every time a splinter flew off this tree, I felt like I was being pierced with pure love. It was the weirdest thing. It's the only way I can describe.
No, I know what you mean.
So
I think the only people that understand what you're saying have done mushrooms before, and the ones who haven't done mushrooms are scared to shit now.
Like I always recommend people, if you have followed Terence McKenna, listen to him and do it the way he was onto something. Mm-hmm. But take as far as you can. Like you could take mushrooms and you could wander around your kitchen and watch the floor move. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Or you could go deep into meditation and explore, because the mushroom allows you to use your mind. Mm-hmm. I believe, like, I don't know, this is all like just me talking through my ass, but I believe that your mind is the portal. Yeah. It's a portal to some other realm or dimension or something, and it's like these psychedelics allow you to tap into that and 100%. Use that to... It's not like you're going anywhere, but you're transcending the way you normally see reality.
And the way you connect.
And the way, so it's like, try that. I always say, like, just try it. If you don't believe me, create that environment and see what happens. Or just go do ayahuasca. You'll be blown away.
Yeah.
Because that's one way to do it, and the shaman will guide you through it.
Yeah, every time I do mushrooms, even if it's just for shits and giggles and fun, I always feel more connected. It sounds like such a hippie thing to say.
It is. And I think that's what drives a lot of people. You talk to so many people and they said, oh, when I was 19, I did mushroom once.
Yeah.
Like, how many people have you talked to said, I did mushrooms once, and then they just kind of left it at that, and it's like, but now I'm growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think what pushed them away from it is they had that experience where they did 3 grams of mushrooms and they started to trip.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't feel like myself. I don't like how my reality is shifting. I don't I don't like the look of myself in the mirror. Totally. And I think that's what mushrooms are supposed to, like, what part of that experience is like, you're getting an objective view of yourself very quickly. Yeah. It's within the first 15 minutes. Yeah. Because, I mean, I've probably had 50 good mushroom experiences, and usually that anxiety hits me right away.
Totally.
It doesn't come in at the end when I'm coming back to reality. It comes in right away. Yeah. So I get this feeling of, like, panic right away. Yeah. And I know it's coming. Totally. Because it's like the psilocybin's getting into my system. I trip. I always trip. It's like I can't not. It's almost like clockwork every time I do it. But it's a period of this process that I find where I have to deal with something. I got a little bit... Here's a funny story. So I was with a group of people, and I had done... I think there was 4 of us. A couple guys, a couple girls. And we had just done mushrooms. And they were starting to kick in. So I think it was about a 3 to 4 gram dosage. This wasn't the most meditative experience I've had, or the therapeutic experience. This was just fucking around. Yeah. And we're in a room. And so the mushrooms are kicking, and I'm looking at this picture of, those weird, those pictures where if you let your eyes relax, it almost goes 3D. It's like graphic art that's computer generated that creates a 3D image. If you let your eyes cross, you pull back.
Things, the abstract.
Yeah, yeah. So I was looking at one of those of Legolas from Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And I immediately, his face started like morphing and dripping, and I'm like, okay, now I'm tripping because Legolas is moving. Yeah. And and then I've got these people in this room with me, and we're all chatting, and I started panicking. I said, you guys all gotta go. Get everybody out of this room. I need to be alone.
That's funny.
Because I couldn't handle it. It's like my social anxiety was in fucking high gear. Yeah. And what normally I would be uncomfortable with too many people wedged in a room, I could not handle it. Totally. I dealt with this right away. I was like, guys, get out. And then, this is the funny part, is everyone left. And then I sat there and I started to feel like I'm really alone right now. Yeah. Like fucking 5 seconds later.
Within seconds.
Within seconds, yeah. I was like, whoa, hey guys, why don't you stay? It's like I was going through a Rolodex of all my social anxieties, so fast. Oh fuck, too many people. Oh, I feel like I fear being alone. Yeah, my reality is shifting. I'm losing grip, losing control. Losing control is a big thing, and totally. I want to hold on. I don't want to let go. So I feel this 15-minute phase that everyone, and it's not a bad trip per se. It happens to different degrees, but people say, "Oh, mushrooms give me, had a bad trip." No, you didn't have a bad trip. You just you became face to face with all the social and pent up anxieties and fears and things that you have within you, but they're presented to you. Totally. And you got scared and you fucking ran. And you said, no, it's the mushrooms gave that to me. When, realistically, it's within us. And instead of us breathing in and dealing with it and going through that, we pointed the finger and said, the mushrooms did that to me. I'll never do those again. I did them when I'm 19, and it was a bad trip, and I'll never do them again. Totally. And that's my theory on that.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I know. It's the same thing with weed. I talked to a bunch of people that are like, I don't like weed. I've never smoked it before. And I think a lot of people are afraid of mushrooms just because they don't
They
know
are.
what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. The first time I did mushrooms, I didn't even get high. I didn't even get high at all. I was like, what am I missing something? What am I, you know? I didn't get high. It wasn't until the second time that I did them that I finally, and then even then, the more and more I did them.
You know what the funny thing about mushrooms is that when, like, I didn't do mushrooms until very late.
Yeah.
Very recently. So I spent the first 35 years of my life having no idea.
Oh, wow. That late,
Like, completely in the dark of what it's like to be on mushrooms. So all my ideas of being on a mushroom were, like, I just made them up. Like, I had never experienced it. So
just what you see
so
in movies.
when people say, "Oh, mushrooms, that must really mess you up," and this and that, like, you can't even take what they say. You can't even look. You know what I mean?
I know the argument
you can't even, like, they have no authority to speak on behalf of what mushrooms are capable of unless you've experimented with mushrooms.
Yeah.
Because when I hadn't done mushrooms, I said, "Oh, you don't want to do that. You know, that's just going to mess you up. It's probably schizophrenia. Like, it's just going to screw you up."
Yeah.
And then I did mushrooms, and, like, the experience of it, it's
eye-opening.
So profound.
Yeah. So
profound that I was blown away at the way my mind operated on it. It was like my brain was firing in all sorts of different ways. Totally. Everything on mushroom, when you're on a high dose of psilocybin, everything is peculiar to you.
And not just everything is amazing.
Like, it's so entertaining.
Somebody asked me, like, if you could explain mushrooms to me, like, in one sentence, what would you say? I'm like, it makes everything more 3D.
Way more,
like, more clear.
But concepts are very intriguing.
Oh, for sure. Everything. The conversations you have.
Okay, I pulled up Instagram.
Yeah.
And I feel like mushrooms can give you a very different, like, completely different perspective that you don't normally have. Mm-hmm. It's like you're looking at the things you normally look at from a complete, like, you're a different person.
Yeah.
You're a new personality. Completely out here, and I was looking at Instagram, and I felt like I was almost sort of like an alien or like a third party. I was far detached from my normal scrolling Instagram, looking at whatever, and it was very entertaining. I could not believe, and just kept saying, like, look at these humans. What the fuck are they doing? Like, I scrolled down, and, like, girls are, like, posting their booties online, and they're you know, and then people are building these, like, race cars and putting them online, and these pictures, and it's just, and then the guys are, like, shooting, like, high powered. I'm like, look at these humans, man. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, it was really entertaining to see what, like, humans take a concept or, like, an idea. Yeah. And they push that shit as far as they can do it.
Totally.
If they are obsessed with, like, technology, they will push that shit as far as they possibly can. If they're looking at the human body in terms of, like, body art or tattoos, they will push that shit as far as they can. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at Instagram, and it is kind of captures in a visual format, like, how far in each direction humanity can go in any discipline, however humans want to do it. And it captures, like, the most extreme versions of everything. It was, like, super entertaining to me. I was just scrolling, and, like, it was like I was seeing it for the first time. Like, what the hell are these humans? Oh my god, I was blown away. I was blown away at what I saw. And it was just because I was on, like, 3 or 4 grams of mushrooms, just looking in at my world, which I'm so accustomed to. I'm so adapted to it, because it's the norm for me. It's for everybody. It's our norm. But if you could pull back and you were first time looking in at it, you'd actually, you'd be pretty blown away at what you see.
You'd be marveled for sure.
But anyway, so.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Mushrooms are a good time, though.
But during that phase of my life, I experimented with a few other drugs as well.
Yeah.
Hawaiian baby wood rose is a seed.
I don't even know what that is.
So a lot of people haven't heard of it. It's really, it's sort of backwater in terms of, like, psychedelics. So it's a seed that I think it creates like a flower, and I don't know if it's native to Hawaii, but it's called the Hawaiian baby wood rose seed. And if you look it up online, it has a psychoactive ingredient in it. It's, I believe they call it LSA. So it's not LSD, but it's very similar in structure to LSD.
Okay.
So I tried this as well, and I also meditated on it, and it wasn't as visual as mushrooms were, but I tried that, and I had some pretty profound realizations on that too.
Okay.
It just depends on, like, do you want to use this psychedelic to discover something like deeper, or are you just using it to manipulate your reality and, and have fun, right?
Have fun, yeah, totally.
Because there's how you go into it is how you do it. And I also had a period of time where I did a lot of salvia.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about salvia.
Now,
I got a salvia story.
Oh my goodness!
I have a good salvia story. What's your salvia story?
Why don't you tell me first?
Okay, so I've done salvia a few times.
Salvia stories are always like, they don't always end up like.
No, well, it depends how many times salvia you're doing, and by time salvia I mean what the potency of the salvia is that you're doing. I think I did like the story I'm about to tell. I did like 40 times. Salvia, which is like
potencies, right?
Yeah, which is like insane. I think it's like one of the highest potencies you could get,
which is really hard to get.
Yeah.
Have you seen salvia around? Like, nobody.
I haven't. Here's the thing.
It's not
the last amount of salvia I had. I gave away to somebody, and I will tell you, I don't want it.
It's so hard to find.
I'll tell you why, but real brief. I'd done salvia multiple times, sometimes with weed, sometimes on its own. Yeah. Always with friends, one at a time type of thing. In weed, it was awesome. I felt like I was high, but also floating. Like, it was dope. So for that, like, I really appreciated it in weed, just small doses.
So you put it in a bong?
Yeah, we smoked it in a pipe. We just topped it off a little bit, and then each of us took our hit. Salvia on its own at 40 times was friggin' insane. So I was at my buddy's house, and our other buddy was there. I'll say their names on. Actually, he was on podcast episode 1. So we're sitting there and we're doing it one by one or whatever, and I'm sitting down in Richard's room and I took the hit of salvia, and you get the wave. You get this wave of like some air that just passed through your entire body. And right after that, it hits you. So my experience was definitely this one was cosmic. So I have two that I'll tell you. This one was cosmic. And I'm sitting in the room, and Lord of the Rings? You know when he puts the ring on and he gets in that world where it's like, and like, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And everything's slow motion. He's only seeing black and white, whatever. Yeah. So it kind of felt like that, except from this part of my face onward was my friend's room and regular reality. And I could see my two friends here, the bed, everything, as if we're just looking at my room or my office space right now. Everything from this side onward was deep space. Like, I'm talking dark, like space, like sky, in fucking space. I don't know how else to say it. And the middle part was that, like, just half of it sucking me this way, and the other half is sucking me this way. And I'm like, and there was video footage. I got them to remove it, but there was video footage of me literally sliding, like going like this, being like, oh my gosh, and being like, dude, there's space over here. When I watched the video after, I was like, oh my gosh. So all of this lasts only like a few minutes. Yeah. Like, so for those of you who don't know salvia, so I don't recommend you do salvia. I really don't, unless you have done it before or you're around people. Like, this is not a endorsement for salvia whatsoever, but that was one of my experiences on salvia. The other experience I had was my fault. I shouldn't have done it. I had some leftover salvia and I decided randomly, oh, this has been sitting around here for a while, I'll just do it. So I took a hit, and as soon as I took the hit, I saw a spider on the ground. Now, if you've never taken salvia,
or was this,
exactly,
or was this
exactly no, like exactly
construction of your?
So I see the spider, and it's a huge spider. I'm like, shit! I just took the hit of salvia. I don't know if that, like, this is legit. I don't know if that's real spider or not. Yeah. All I know is I better kill it now, because if it isn't a real spider, even if it is, I'm gonna manifest more of these spiders. So I killed the spider, threw it in the garbage. It was a real spider. I found out after the fact. I go into my living room, and if you go in my living room, I have a really big Persian rug, beautiful rug. And guess what the fuck starts happening? All these spiders start popping out of the rug. Like, because the pattern of the rug.
Hold on, you went over there. You were conscious.
I was conscious, right? I went to sit down on the couch.
With salvia in your body.
Yeah, because I'm like, I can't move. Like, I have to sit down. And this was just right after I killed the spider. So now all the patterns in my rug are popping up spiders that are now starting to crawl around slowly. Now I'm tripping already. I pick up my phone and I call an acquaintance of mine. And I call him and he answers. I'm like, listen, I'm tripping on salvia for the next 2 minutes. I just need you to stay on the phone with me because I'm seeing spiders everywhere and I need to be attached to reality. Nick's like, okay, I'll be here. I'm like, I'm gonna go, like, I'm gonna start laughing. I started going nuts, like laughing hysterically, whatever. Then I finished, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can go now. Bye. And I hung up, found out that the spider that I killed was real, and all the other spiders like dissipated after like 2 minutes, right? So that was a bad trip that I had. But that was my own fault. I shouldn't have done salvia by myself. But I was just trying to get rid of it.
I had a phase where I wasn't content with, like, when the first time I did salvia, I remember I always research it and I try to do these. Like, if you go to earowid.com, they have like instructions. And
what's that? Earowid?
Earowid.com.
Earowid?
It's sort of EROWID.com. It's sort of the psychedelic
WebMD.
Yeah, exactly. So there's trip reports and those sorts of things on it. But the way to do salvia, I figured all this out, is to use a pipe, obviously. Yeah. The first time I did it, I think I used a pop can because I didn't have a pipe at the time. Yeah. And I just heated it all up. And I remember I was told you had to take in as much of the smoke as you could. And I just had no idea what to expect. It was all new to me. Yeah. But I remember buying salvia legally. Yeah. Like, it was legal at the time.
Is it not legal anymore?
I think it's banned, actually.
Oh, okay. I got mine.
Ban all the good stuff, don't they? Yeah. So I remember it was probably 40 times, and I think I took about 3 or 4 hits. I did as much of the salvia as I could. Yeah. And there was no marijuana mixed. It was just straight salvia.
Were you by yourself?
No, I was with my girlfriend at the time. And I remember, I'm like, I don't feel anything. And I said to her, I'm like, I don't know, this stuff, is this real? I don't. And it was like smoking like Lipton tea or something. It's a weird smell to it. Yeah. It's not anything you've ever. And then I'm like, hold on. And then all of a sudden I felt really heavy. Like, I felt like gravity just increased by like 1,000. And I'm like, and I was falling backward. And I remember, I think she put something behind me because I was going back.
You can't.
And then it hit me so hard and so quickly, I actually passed out. I just passed. It knocked me out. Wow. And I was like twitching, and it zapped my memory. So I don't know how long I was out for, but I was completely, like, I think my consciousness was almost like disrupted so much that I couldn't perceive where I was or what I was doing. And then I remember slowly coming back and looking around at the room, like having no idea where I was or what I was doing or why I was here. Everything was a question mark. And I looked around, and it's piece by piece, like, my reality came back. And I said, well, how long was I gone for? And what did I say? And then apparently I was like flailing my arms and like asking questions and like. But I did it a few more times. Then I started to do it by myself because I'm like, I feel like I'm not quite getting this.
I hear you.
Because I was blacking out. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's not, so finally I just got to tell the final story. I won't leave out the middle salvia adventures, and I'll tell the final one. So I finally said, okay, I want to deal, because salvia has there's a long heritage behind it too. It grows in Mexico, I think. Anyways, I saw a good episode of, on what was it?
Vice.
It was a Vice documentary.
Of course it was. Totally called that.
Yeah, it was
Vice. 100%.
So, but I know there's more to it. Same, like any of these plants, they have a long history and they have a lot of things they can teach you. So, but I kept attacking it just like not a care in the world. Like, hold on, let me smoke some salvia. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this the way I do all my other psychedelics. Like when I did mushrooms, like, I'm going to meditate first. Calm down, center myself. I took a yoga pose because I felt like every time I did salvia, I was like fucking sideways or like rolling across the room or like climbing, you know, like that feeling you had of getting cold.
Control it. Yeah.
It's like being in a washing machine.
Of course.
I'm like, how are you supposed to like remain, like take it all in if you're just falling, if your body is like contorted. So I took the lotus position and I crossed my legs and I burnt some incense. I created this kind of like sacred little space.
Yeah.
And people probably laugh and go, why the fuck would you do that? It's just a drug. But I always have this mentality where I really, really want to experience it. I just, you know, I want to get as much out of it as I can because they're such amazing. These plants are just so peculiar and exciting to me. So I sat there, I did it properly. You know, I did my 3 or 4 hits with the torch lighter. I actually had a proper pipe this time, and I took it all in, and then I just basically sat in with my body perfectly straightened out my spine, and sat in lotus position. And then I wanted to, instead of getting like passing out, which is what I had done every other time, like get knocked out, and everything was cloudy. I just witnessed it as calmly as I could, and then so I could see the journey all the way through and remember the whole thing. So I stayed conscious during it.
Yeah.
So what happened was, it's like I got front row seats to what happens when you smoke salvia this time, because I was alert and I watched like my world just shattered.
Yeah.
Like it literally like broke down, like when you exit a screen on a video game and the next one rebuilds.
Yeah.
It was like
exactly.
Like all the pieces were rebuilding, and I was in another realm, a completely different, similar realm, but represented differently. So like I could see the pixelation. It was almost like a simulation. It was very pixelated, and everything rebuilt itself in a new format with a lot of movement. And it's like that spider thing on the ground where you're all this. It's like everything is like that. It's like moving, and there's like life to it, and it's all interacting, and every like thing around me was like its own life form, and it was like twitching and spinning and like speaking.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it broke down, and then I could just feel this new reality, and I just sat there and took it all in, and I'm like, this is freaking bizarre. This is like did somebody make this place? It felt like Super Mario in the future or something, right? And it felt very created, like another level of reality that was constructed that I was tapping into, just getting a glimpse of it, but not as dark, and I wasn't getting thrown around. It wasn't confusing, and I think I was able to. It's like I finally got my consciousness and my body to a level that I could experience it. Yeah. Because it's so jarring. Like totally. For most people, they don't remember it, or they go on the ground, they start twitching, they fall at windows and shit, right? But I did it. I felt like I really took it on, and that was the last time I did salvia. And I'm like, okay, I finally feel like I communicated with that. Like I was able to communicate with that realm at least. Like I could felt it. It was a lot of like energy I could take in, and the visuals were great. And I just slowly came back. But my whole room looked so weird. Yeah. It's like I could feel it change and morph, and then it came back, and then I could feel it return. And everything looked really far away. Like my kitchen looked like it was like 100 miles away. I'm like, holy shit, that's far. Yeah. And that was my last salvia experience, and now I can't get it.
Wait. Before we get into DMT, for those of you not into drugs,
you might want to just
or psychedelics, the latter half of this we'll talk about nutrition and fitness.
We'll come back around to like nutrition,
which is what we were going to talk about, but we'll get into that. But psychedelics, I mean, there's to tats, so we may as well talk about the latter side of nutrition as well.
We'll come back around. I promise.
Okay, so after doing salvia, you decide, I'm going to do DMT.
Well, the thing with DMT is it's sort of it's like the big kahuna of the psychedelics. It is probably the most epic, I don't even know what kind of words to describe it, but it is the most epic psychedelic that you could potentially do on planet Earth currently. Well, again, I'm not really a specialist or a doctor or anything like that, but your brain creates dimethyltryptamine, DMT, through your pineal gland.
Yeah.
So every night, your brain releases a specific amount of DMT, floods your body. It creates like the dream state. But basically, if you can get DMT in crystal form, which it's extracted from a specific type of grass, I believe. Actually, there's 2 types of DMT. There's one that comes from like a frog poison. It's hilarious. Like, I don't know if this is true or not, but this frog, if you piss it off, it releases like a poison onto like a window pane, and then you scrape it off, dry it, and then
somebody was telling me about this too. Yeah.
Or literally smoke it. Like that's a type of DMT that I've never found. I've never come across that. But what I had was the one that was extracted from a plant. Yeah. And so I don't know how I got this stuff.
Of course you don't.
For a while I was like in the loop. It's fucking weird. Like if you're into it, like people kind of sense that, and the laws of the universe, like they get it to you. It comes to you. Like all these drugs just literally showed up in my hands. When someone finds out you're talking about a trip, next thing you know, I had a bag of crystal DMT in my hand.
Leave it. Sorry. Continue.
And I don't remember it being like super expensive. I think I paid $120 for what looked like maybe 1 gram. Yeah. Like 1 gram of something that could be...
But is 1 gram a lot in the world of DMT? Like,
to my knowledge...
I've never done it, so I don't know.
Like, I don't do this kind of stuff all the time, but I did make an effort to smoke this stuff. Yeah. And I think that was about 4 servings. Okay. Like 4 trips, basically. Yeah. I feel like a quarter of the bag was enough to send you over. But the interesting thing about DMT is that it has to be like high temperature vaporized. You can't burn the DMT like you would like marijuana. Like you're not burning plant matter. Like this is like, it's a crystal. So the best part about smoking DMT is you need a crack pipe. So then you get to go to a dispensary and ask for a crack pipe, which is kind of weird if you're a straight edge kind of guy. Of course. Okay, hi, one crack pipe. Actually, get me 2 crack pipes, please, because I might break the first one. So you take this crack pipe, which is like this was all new to me at the time because I'm not like a druggie or anything. Yeah. Well, I guess I am. So the crack pipe it's not expensive or anything. These things are like $5-10. But what it is like the mat, like whatever you're trying to like inhale goes in this little glass kind of ball at the end. It's a very simple apparatus. It's like a tube attached to a ball. Yeah. Like a glass kind of half sphere. Yeah. So you put the matter into the sphere. So you put the DMT into the little ball. And then instead of burning the DMT, you actually heat up the glass around the DMT and it creates like this vapor. Yeah. So okay, so the time that I did it, I had some friends with me because I'm like, I'm not doing DMT by myself. Like, I don't know much about this. I'd done a little bit of research on it, and I knew the way to do it, so I had everything ready. Butane lighters is the way to go. Yeah. Obviously, always. It gets it so hot that it creates that vapor. So I had read and been told that you needed to do 3 or 4 big hits, and you had to hold it in. Otherwise, you're not going to have this breakthrough experience. And I think when it comes to psychedelics that you have to inhale, like salvia or DMT, that a lot of people fail at this. Yeah. And then they say, and it bothers me, they say, oh, it didn't really do anything. It's so... and they brag about, I did DMT and I didn't...
The first time anyone smokes weed and they... Yeah. So they like put in their cheeks, you're like, dude, inhale.
The thing with DMT is it's very expensive. Yeah. So I guess if you're spending over $100 on a little bag of it, and it's so hard to find that you don't want to waste it. So I would go in there. I mean, I'd already done salvia, so I kind of understood the concepts of like holding it in and going really deep. So I did my first hit. I'll just I'll explain to you how it went. Yeah. So I'm holding this pipe. Took 2, still nothing. 3. The fourth one, I held it right in. And again, it's that delay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then this thing that goes through your head is like, I don't know if this is going to work. Did I buy fake DMT?
Yeah.
Is it going to feel any different? Like, all these thoughts go through your head, like, while you're holding in your fourth. And so I remember, this is the last thing I remembered, like, from physical reality, was I was holding the pipe and I was looking down and I saw kind of like a swirl of vapor just spinning around in there. And then immediately I just heard like a crackling, like rocket ship, like crackling, like plastic almost.
Okay.
And immediately, like very quickly, it was so jarring that it almost like jarred my whole memory behind it too. So it's like, I can't really remember how I got there, but all of a sudden it's like someone turned the lights out. Like, I'm still there.
Yeah.
I'm alert the whole time. There was no passing out. So I'm sitting at my kitchen table in this little condo, and I'm with these two friends of mine, and they're just waiting because my friend Shoshana, she knew what I was about to go through, and she's just waiting. She's like, I can't wait for him to experience this.
So good.
So then the whole room turns black. Like, it's just like someone turned up the lights. And the only way I can explain it is like, you know the movie Tron?
Yeah.
Like Tron
100%.
Legacy?
Yeah.
Like, you know how everything emits its own light?
Yeah.
But the landscapes and the rooms are all black.
Mm-hmm.
And everything just kind of glows.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what it feels like to be, like, heavily, like, sedated by DMT.
So you get to visit the world of Tron.
It is, but it's much like it's much more colorful because Tron is only like pretty much blue on black.
And red, yeah.
Blue and red on black. But this is everything, the rainbow of the entire rainbow of colors.
Yeah.
Glowing out of a black background.
That's crazy.
So immediately it just shifts you to this reality, which is kind of like your reality. But I couldn't remember who I was.
Mm-hmm.
I had kind of lost all recollection of like who. It's like I was dumping my ego, and my concepts of like being a human were being slowly, actually not even slowly, like quickly dissipated. Like, boom, like who am I now? It's like it doesn't really matter anymore. It's like I lost my persona, my ideas, everything became, my human side was sort of like disappearing.
Okay.
I couldn't, and I was, this is the weird thing, I was trying to come up, I knew in my heart, like in my mind, that I was on something.
Yeah.
It's like I had come from somewhere. I couldn't recollect where I had come from or where I was going, but I was like, I was somewhere and I did something that led me here. That's how confused and like lost I was.
It seems like a dream that, like, when you wake up, like you remember
pieces
a dream, but just, and then as soon as you remember what it is, it kind of disappears, and you're like, oh,
yes,
like
that's exactly.
But during the
what
dream, the dream was so vivid, and you knew every detail, and you could feel it, and then it.
But like with dreaming, it's like you don't always see everything. Like it's not like completely 100% visual.
Yeah.
Like in a dream, like when you go to sleep and you dream, it's you feel a lot of things. Like you feel like whatever emotion you're feeling, it's like compassion or empathy or you're feeling like confident or like sorrow, whatever emotion a lot of it's like feeling based, and then you're not necessarily seeing anything. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it is with the DMT is like you're getting bombarded with like all these emotions all at the same time, and you're experiencing more than one emotion at the same time, because it's almost like it's an infinite level of things you can. With me and you here, it almost reduces the amount of things you can feel at once.
Okay.
But when on DMT, it's like you're getting hit with like so much.
Yeah.
It's very intense. So to explain kind of what I saw, it's like the craziest thing about that one trip was while it just felt completely different, like right away it was like black, and then all of a sudden like this landscape started to come through. It's like I was simultaneously somewhere else. I was in my room, but I was also somewhere else at the same time, and I knew that. I could tell I was in two places at the same time. And then I caught a glimpse of what I was looking at. And if you ever listen to people talk about their DMT trips or they illustrate it, you see all the Mayan architecture, and you see like Aztec design and very
like tribal
stuff. Like ancient civilization type creations, and be like that, but from that period, like Mayan and Aztec, right? And I had no idea of this because I didn't do a lot of research about what to see, because I just want to experience it. And then I started to see these designs. I started to see the Technicolor. I could literally see pyramids in the distance and meadows of like blue and purple and violet flowers.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this was legit. And it felt as real as I am here.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing about it, is I'm looking out at these beautiful landscapes of like color, and everything is just the beauty of it. Just, it's mind blowing. Like, it's so pretty, like nothing you've ever seen before. Like color beyond. It's just, everything is just radiating with color. It's like Tron, but like blues and the yellows and greens and pinks and purple. It's just wild. And it's like you're picking up on this reality that's like a different reality. Yeah. And if you go online and you look at DMT art, you can you can feel that. You can see the art that some people have like been on trips and they've illustrated it. And then when I go back and I look at the illustrations, it like comes back to me. Because right after DMT, my mind was fried. I'm like, I don't remember anything. Yeah. But it started to come in over the weeks. Okay. Like pieces of it would come back and be like, what was that thing I saw? Oh, and then it was slowly like, I'm just grabbing little pieces of it. Okay. It's like the weirdest thing.
It's interesting that you said it was beautiful.
It was fucking amazing.
Because that's the last thing, when people, for example, who have never done drugs or psychedelics before or whatever, the last thing they think of is beautiful. Like, they think it's going to be like toxic or whatever. So it's interesting that you...
It's like, okay, when you fall asleep and you have a dream and you're flying over, I don't know, like a lake, or like you're in a sunset. Like, you've had dreams that were extremely beautiful, right? Yeah. Like, wow. It's like being in that dream, but it's much more vivid. Because you're actually not sleeping, you're like alert, you're awake. Yeah. But yeah, the beauty behind it, and that's what my friend who like guided me through the DMT. She's like, you're gonna be blown away by the beauty in this dimension, this whatever it is, a higher dimension, whatever you want to call it. She's like, everything is like so beautiful, you're gonna cry. And then I understood that because the color, like you just never see color. You can't. I've never perceived color in that way.
That's crazy.
Like, so when you see the psychedelic art that everyone draws, like, why is there so much color in it? Yeah. It's like they've gone to these realms, they've seen it, and they're trying to put it on paper. Because they're so, they just want to revisit it or, like, show you what they felt or saw. Yeah, the colors are amazing. And it's funny because DMT is not that popular. Nobody's done it. So few people.
I don't know anybody who has ever told me that they've done it.
It's not toxic. I don't think it's toxic at all. I came back feeling like I woke up from a long night's sleep. I just woke up. I didn't feel hungover. I didn't feel like groggy. Yeah. I felt like I was just awoke from a dream. Crazy stuff. Like, I think a lot of people who aren't into psychedelics think that they're very addictive. Like, oh, if you start doing DMT, like, you're gonna get addicted.
Heroin and cocaine next or whatever.
It's gonna ruin your life.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, when I did that, like, I did the strongest psychedelic, I would say is, you can argue with me on that, but I think it's DMT. I felt like I became a better person after. Like, I am there's more depth to my soul. Totally. After doing DMT. Not like I'm addicted to it. Like, oh, this is my downward spiral in life, right? I'm really big into health and fitness and eating properly and taking care of your body and taking care of your mind. And coming from me, like, I don't think the odd psychedelic experience is a negative thing. I think it's only positive. Totally. Because of the perspective that you can gain on yourself.
Yeah. If you were doing DMT every day, I'd be a little bit concerned. But if you're doing this thing like once in a blue moon to get...
Let me explain I mean, so there's people that understand. I mean, if you have listeners who have done psychedelics, doing like something like DMT or even mushrooms, like I don't crave to do them. Mm-hmm. I fear. I've done them a lot. I've done a lot of mushrooms and I've done a lot of celibate. I fear doing mushrooms because I know how intense it's going to be. Because I usually go quite heavy with my doses. Mm-hmm. I don't crave to do it because I know that it's a lot of soul work for me. To go through a 5-hour mushroom trip is very intense, and it's jarring, and it really separates me from my life. Mm-hmm. And it's like someone hitting the reset button on the Super Nintendo. Yeah. It's like it just rattles you, starts you over again. Like I'm not always ready for that. So how could it be? It's just it can't be addictive for me if I'm not. You know, it's really hard for me to do these things frequently. I have to like I want to put the brakes on. I don't want to accelerate it. Yeah. You know, I only do them like if I'm brave enough at the time.
I guess I disagree with you when it comes to the fear aspect. I'm not afraid to do mushrooms, but I'm also not like I don't do them and then want to do them again the next day or the next day or the next day or whatever.
It doesn't.
I do them in a moment of I feel like doing mushrooms this weekend or today or whatever the reason be.
It's also time consuming.
Oh yeah, like when it's got to be
I know that I'm going to be completely off the phone and like my clients and my staff and people just won't be able to get in touch with me for 5 hours. I'm not going to be on my phone. I'm going to be going through some very crazy things and going through quite an experience. So I have to block out 5 hours of my day on a specific day if I'm going to do it. So it's not easy for me to get that kind of time away. Mm-hmm. So the addictive, it's just not. It's just very. I can't see it as addictive.
No, it's not so something hard. Anyone, unless you're a person who gets addicted to things, specifically drugs, regularly. Okay, here's the thing with mushrooms, though. For example, even if you were addicted to mushrooms, if you did mushrooms every day, by day 3 or 4, you wouldn't be hallucinating anymore. It would be so in your system that you would not have any psychedelic effects. I'm sure you build a tolerance. I know because I've done it multiple days in a row. By the second day, the psychedelics had dropped like in half. Mm-hmm. By the third day, I could barely feel a thing. And here's where I stand. I'm addicted to both coffee and weed.
Or fucking Instagram.
Let me address this. I'm not addicted to weed in the sense that if I don't smoke weed today, I'll be okay. Like I go on vacation all the time. It's like, I don't have weed with me every day. But
it's like a slight level of like.
But I smoke weed daily, like every day. If I have weed, I will smoke it every day, a little bit, whatever, here or there. But I could go, if you cut me dry today, if I'm like in Spain or somewhere where I'm not here.
You would function without it.
I'm not going to be, where the fuck is weed? Johnson. Yeah, I'm not going to go crazy, right? I can totally live life without it.
But hold on a sec.
Yeah.
For a minute, when you wake, what time of day do you smoke weed?
It depends on the day, dude. Like if I'm working from home.
But would you, just hear me out here for a very brief moment during the day.
Yeah.
You're on vacation, Portugal.
Okay.
You wake up at the resort.
Yeah.
At some point in the day, would you not be like, hey, I kind of feel like I should have a joint right now? Or I didn't smoke weed today.
Is there weed there? That's what it comes down to. Because if there's weed there, then I might be like, oh, should we smoke a joint before we go wherever we're going? You know what I mean? If there's no weed there, then it's a non-issue.
Because I'll admit that I have a gym addiction.
Oh, of course you do.
Because if
you work out at least 3... I used to work out with you 3 hours. You'd be at the gym in the morning. I don't even know at night.
So if I'm on vacation and it's sometime during the day, I will get hit with a micro amount of anxiety that I didn't get a workout in today.
Okay.
I'll just be pitter-pattering around the resort or the hotel and be like, I didn't work out today.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of internal frustration with myself that something's missing.
Yeah.
So that's an addiction in itself.
Okay.
Now, no one in society is going to say, oh, you're addicted, because they see it as a positive thing.
Yeah.
But the matter of fact, is I'm still addicted to something.
Yeah, it's
Because
just not.
I believe humans are fucking addicted to things. We're just
Of course.
addictive creatures.
Of course,
We're habitual.
100%.
So but mine just happens to be like considered a healthier addiction.
Which is
But
good
I
for
do
you.
get a little bit of panic if I haven't worked out, especially if a couple days go by. I get a little bit weird.
Yeah, see, I don't get weird when I'm on vacation and I haven't smoked weed. I don't get weird. I'm gonna be like, oh shit,
Yeah,
it's
that's
been a
messed
week.
up.
We haven't smoked weed.
It's messed up that I'm
whatever,
more
right?
addicted to the gym than you are to marijuana.
Yeah, but I think it's because, like, I'm gonna come home and I'll smoke weed. Like, smoking weed isn't gonna change my weight or, you know, my sense of feeling as far as, like, being alert or feeling strong or what have you, how you feel when you work out. Whereas if you don't work out that day, the next day you feel like looser. You feel like less. You might feel fat, for example.
But what am I addicted to? I mean, there's the like that. What do you call that? Like a psychological component to that.
Yeah, like maybe subconscious.
Yeah, like a but there's also the physiological component to it. Like when I'm working out, I'm getting positive like hormone release in my body. I'm getting endorphins.
Yeah.
So I'm addicted to those endorphins too.
Okay.
So like just like a runner, the runner's high, right?
Yeah.
So not only am I habitually addicted, I'm also addicted to the physiological response that I get from working out.
Of course.
So to take that away from me, and yeah, I'm gonna function a little bit differently because I hit that every single day.
Yeah.
I work out 6 days a week. Every morning, I just kind of like make my way to the gym and get this crazy workout in, and I get a good like an endorphin high from like lifting weights or whatever I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
Or cardio or
for
whatever.
3 hours. 3
well,
hours.
You know, it's because we take
3 hours. I don't care if you take 10
Was it
minutes.
3 hours?
It's about 3 hours.
I think it's because we talk
at
too
9
much.
a.m. Well, according to you, there's a lot of waiting around.
Yeah, a lot of waiting around. But we had a group training at the
That's
time.
true.
So
And we were rotating.
you know, but
still,
realistically,
it was about 3 hours of working out.
When the average person or the average gym goer, like you shouldn't be in the gym for 3 hours. Like get in there, get out. 1 hour is enough time if you want to get a good workout in. You just gotta not do what we did, which is shoot the shit for an hour in between sets, but actually put your headphones on, grind out an hour, and then you got the day ahead of you.
Totally.
And that's what I really recommend my clients to do. I'm like, don't spend the whole day there.
Yeah.
Go, get it done, and then just get on with your day.
Well, it makes sense for you to spend the whole day there. It's your industry. It's
I got a
what
little
you
more
do for a
spare
living.
time, but and then plus it's my
It's
job
what you
or
do
whatever,
for a living,
but
yeah. So it's a
I have to
different
take
story.
care of my clients and such. But the average person, like an hour and 20, it's not 3 hours like that. That's ludicrous, that amount of time.
Totally.
Like you can get it done within an hour.
Yeah.
Whatever breakdown you want to do, if you're looking at conditioning, obviously more cardiovascular activity, but if you're just trying to build muscle mass, like really doing weight training, or if you're anything, you know, martial arts, like you're getting in that, usually an hour, it's frequency, not as much intensity.
Okay.
Like getting in there often is the way to condition yourself.
Yeah.
But
this is what 6 days, 7 days a week look
that
like.
it's almost, when people see these magazines, they get a false sense of what's realistic for them. But that's what the magazine industry is, like the fitness industry is designed to do. It's to create like, this is your ideal standard, and then you should feel like some sort of lack. Therefore, you buy the magazine, read through the pages, try to find the secret. But this is completely unrealistic. Like, you got to think this guy's been bodybuilding. My brother right here has been bodybuilding for, like, he started in 2005, 13 years of bodybuilding. If you're going to compare yourself against a bodybuilder who's been at it for like over a decade, like, not realistic.
Not at all.
Like, just to be active, I think, is what most people should start at. And that's not like, you should commit to something. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like a few days a week, 3-4 days a week. But I always tell my clients, because this is my job, I'm a fitness coach, is I recommend doing something physical every day. Doing something physical doesn't have to be at the gym, like grinding it out with the masses. Could be you just took your dog for like a 45-minute walk.
Yeah.
30-minute walk, whatever. It could be you went and played a ball hockey game. It could be you took a walk down the beach. I mean, whatever it is, like something is creating an energy demand, and that's keeping your systems healthy. Mm-hmm. But I think people are they're just not active, and that's a huge fucking problem.
Totally.
Like it's not even that they're not going to the gym, it's they're not doing anything. And it's like they're standing at the foot of a mountain and they're only looking at the top, going, the top of the mountain is 5 days a week at the gym and I can't get there, and then just give up. Like, you can go for a walk 4 or 5 times a week around the block. Mm-hmm. Like, that's where you start. Don't look at the gym, the magazines and go, I want to look like this bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Like, I think people they see, they don't look at the little step in front of them.
Totally.
And they stare up at the impossible.
I think a lot of it too is like, it's not just the active aspect, it's the nutrition aspect. So for example, before I got in touch with you, I was active, but I was not getting any results that I was looking for.
Right.
And it's because I didn't know the nutrition side of it. So I was going out, I could work out as much as I wanted to that day, then come home and I'd have like a mocha. You know what I mean? Like a hard mocha with like all the syrup, right, all the sugars, and I don't realize that, the average male should have no more than, and this is like based on just regular health standards, 25 grams of sugar a day. Yeah. To put that into perspective, a can of Coke or 40, Pepsi has 35, something like that.
In the 40s.
A cup of skim milk has 9 grams of sugar. That's
how adds up fast.
Yeah, that's how limited you are on your daily intake of just sugar. If you have any more than that, you've already exceeded your daily intake, and now you need to make up for it.
But the thing is, if you're active, you can get away with a little bit more.
Of course.
Like, it's like the more you do, the less worried you have to be. Yeah. But if you're not doing shit, if you're sitting in a couch all day or on a computer, then you have to be a little bit more careful, because your furnace, like your system, isn't consuming any of this energy.
Totally.
And then it's like you're taking in so much, the body just hangs on to it. Yeah. It starts to store it. It pollutes you and it just doesn't have a channel. The foundation of any of your body is what you're putting into it.
Totally. And this goes back to like when we would work out. I remember I'd always see this girl come in and she'd always have like a Starbucks Frappuccino while she was working. I don't know if you know this girl or not.
How did you know it was a Frappuccino?
Because she had the cup. It was like
black.
No, it was like the Frap.
Oh yeah.
Like whatever.
Fair enough.
And I remember watching her work out. She was a bit of a like heavier girl, not that there's anything wrong with that. But I remember watching her work out with that Frap, being like, you do not know how counterproductive you are being at the same time as trying to feel good. If you're going to work out and then have that Frap at the exact same time, you have literally cut your workout as if you may as well not have worked out, because you just added everything that you just tried to lose. And those are the people that don't tend to notice any difference.
Look at it, if you got all technical with it and started number crunching, you could calculate very easily like how many calories you burnt in that one workout, and then you could take the calories that are in the Frappuccino and you could probably just cancel it out.
Yeah, but how many calories? And then add the sugars, because those are going to add up. The sugars go straight to those hips.
But like for someone like me, like calories don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't reduce my food to like, their caloric value.
Totally.
I look at what I'm eating. Mm-hmm. And I go, is this how I want to feel my body right now at this point in the day? Is this what I want?
I mainly look at a few things. I look at I'm cautious of my carb intake. I'm cautious of my sugar intake, and then I'm also looking at how much dairy I'm taking. Everything
Those are
else,
all valid.
Yeah, everything else I kind of like calorie intake, protein intake, those sort of things. Mm-hmm. I'm cool. Like I do whatever. but I'm really cautious because I know the 3 things that affect my body the most tend to be carbs, sugars, and dairies. So if I have too much dairy, I notice that. But that adds into the carbs and sugars.
This goes back to like we originally, when I was working with you, I probably instilled those.
Oh, of course.
Those
that's
foundations into your eating because.
Yeah. Because that's what I was, real quick, let me say this before you continue, is that's where I was not seeing the value. So, like, not in you, in my working out. So I would go work out every day.
Right.
And I mean, I couldn't get abs, I couldn't get cut, I couldn't lose anything. I'm like, what the hell am I, like, what is this workout every day everybody's obsessed with? Then I just thought I wasn't, like, my body type just wasn't that type.
Spinning your wheels, man.
Yeah. Then, until I got hooked up with you, and then you kind of opened my eyes of,
like, look at what you're eating.
How much sugar are you taking? Oh, wait, you have a mocha every day? Like, you know, this and that. Oh, the dairy adds up, the carbs add up, like, blah, blah. And then once I started realizing that, that's when it totally flipped.
Shifted, yeah.
100%.
But those are really good principles to, like, remember. You don't eat that much dairy, obviously. Yeah. The North American diet is fucking way too high in starch. It's so high in starch.
Remember what they taught us in school?
I don't
Staples.
Even want to go on we had this Canada food guide thing. That was
dude.
But it's completely off. It was a marketing tool for the grain and the dairy industry.
100%.
To keep those things alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the North American diet is way too high in starch. We all know that. Like it's the foundation of your food is not how much spaghetti is on your plate or how much starch you're eating. It's way beyond what's recommended, like what we should be doing, because that's why we have this obesity epidemic. It's way too much starch for what we're burning on the daily. For the average person, yes, if you're Michael Phelps or if you're a high-level athlete, you need to get those in because that's like it's a fucking great energy source to be taking in all that fuel, and it's great for building muscle. But you know, if you look at, like, I've been following Dr. Rhonda Patrick.
Oh, I love her.
Right.
Oh,
so
shout out Dr. Rhonda Patrick.
Shout her out, man. You got to check her out. Check her out on Instagram. Like
she has her own podcast too.
She's fantastic.
I was mentioning this to a friend the other day. So she has, she's on a few episodes of Joe Rogan podcast. There's about 4 or 5. Write notes. You're gonna need a notepad. I promise you. If you don't, you're gonna pull one out because just. Not only does she give you the information, but she cites studies, and she's just insane.
She's really good at what she does, and I don't know. It just if you follow her, you can see how she breaks her meals down. And I just look at her the way she eats. Like she eats high vegetables. She tries to eat vegetables every meal. Okay, so that's a good start. She eats really high omega-3 foods. Okay, great. That's fantastic. She doesn't show herself on protein. She's like not a huge person. But this woman eats like steak. She eats eggs. She eats chicken. Yeah. She's not eating low protein and high carb, which is like pretty much the problem out there in the world. Like, but every one of her meals is like dark green vegetables, very, very healthy, nutrient dense food. And she's not afraid of fats, which is obviously that has been left behind since the 90s. But she eats avocado. She's really big on like fish eggs for the fats and the omegas. But yeah, her nutrition for the masses that's something that people who, whether you work out or don't work out, it's pretty on point with where I think most people should be eating.
I agree. And
if you look, there's no grain products. She's not eating like breads and like pastas, and she just doesn't do it. And she's probably much like her body fat levels are probably in check due to her it's almost like there's a bit of keto influence in it, but it's not fully keto because she eats like a little bit of fruit and berries and pears and some cheese gets in there, but for the most part it's bang on for what people should be doing. And if you're an athlete, you just add a bit more carbs to that system. But for most people who aren't very active, like that's a great start. So I'm excited that she's out there and people are following her and listening to her nutrition because she represents like what people, the generic person, should be doing.
Totally. And I will put some links in the description below. Don't check it out until after you're done watching this full episode.
Yeah.
But definitely check her out. She has a podcast. I forget the name of it. I'll post that down in the description. And I'll post some of the episodes from Joe Rogan.
If you just stop on her Instagram and have a look at some of her... She posts a lot of pictures of her meals, and it's not as daunting. You know, you can just get a good sense of what she eats. But
totally. She taught me something else that was interesting, too, was... the difference between biological age and chronological age. Do you know that one?
Yes.
That's interesting. I didn't know this, but it makes sense.
So what are there's markers for that?
I don't know about the markers, but I do know the difference between the two is chronological age is date and time based on, so I was born June 2nd, 1980X, right? So I am 30X years old, right? I don't like giving away my real age. So. But I may be 30X years old. Some people look at me, they think I'm like 24. When I talk to them, they're like, oh, you're 24, 26. They don't believe that I'm above 30. And that is my biological age. Your
biological age is what matters, basically.
Yes. So when I talk to people about age, my whole perception of age has completely changed. I realize after listening to her talk about this, I'm like, holy crap, she is right. Because even Dr. Rhonda, she looks way younger than her actual age. And it's because her biological age, well, not just that, it's just her biological chemistry and her biological age and mapping and whatever it may be, is young, like more youthful than her actual linear age. And it totally makes sense that why are you basing your age around the planet going around the sun every year as opposed to the way that your body is growing and deteriorating, et cetera, et cetera.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it totally skewed the way I perceived age. And I'm like, oh, crap. Just because, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is she brought up a valid point. She's like, look, you might be 30, but if you look 40, well then, things that doctors say would apply to you when you're 40 years of age that usually happens to your body, like prostate cancer or
you
whatever.
You should get those checked at 30.
At 30, because your biological age looks that
well,
way.
We all have those friends who are like, they're 30, but they look like they're 45.
Yeah, totally, you're right?
Like, what the hell happened to you, man?
I know.
Usually they're working too much. They're heavily. They have high anxiety.
Totally.
Either they're alcoholics or they have some sort of addictions, and their biological age is far older than their calendar.
Literally, the person I'm thinking about is 28 years old. So they're significantly, well, I won't say significantly, but they are younger than me by quite a bit. Mm-hmm. If you put me and this person side by side,
look the same?
No, he looks older. He looks older by a lot.
That fucking sucks.
He looks older by like 10 years. When I first met this guy, I'm not joking, I thought he was 38, 39. And it wasn't until a friend of mine told me that, no, he's 28. I died. I'm like, what? There's no way that guy is 28 years old. And they're like, no, he is. But, as you said, huge drinker. Not an alcoholic, but a huge beer drinker.
Right.
Doesn't really work out. A lot of stress, long work hours, that sort of thing.
Like, pretty much everything. Like 10 things that this person needs to take care of.
Yeah, that
like you can literally go through your life and you can say, what are the areas that I need to work on? Mm-hmm. And it's weird that people don't work on them. The time just passes, and it's like, you know what you need to do.
Totally.
And it's at some point you got to start ticking those boxes off.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to happen overnight.
It's weird. Like, you ever follow Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah, all the time.
So at some point in his life, he decided that he needed to get in shape.
Yeah, it was after he started making money, though.
I mean, the guy's a billionaire or whatever. Yeah. But, I mean, he's well off. Like, I'm sure he doesn't need any more money. He's just... But, yeah, he gets... I guess he's in his late 30s or early 40s.
He's early to mid-40s, actually,
Yeah, he just decided. He's like, I'm going to take care of my health now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he can
which
do
is
that
opposite
now.
of me, because I got started on my health first, and then I was like, oh shit, I gotta worry about my finances.
To be fair,
So-
he does have a personal trainer that's very
He
high
does, I saw
reputable.
that,
Who's a really good guy actually. He's been on some of
But
his
you know
vlogs
what?
and
He
stuff.
commits to
He's
the
got a lot of
workout
money.
every day, and
It's
he just
true.
goes.
Yeah, it's true.
And for someone like that, a trainer isn't necessarily that expensive.
No.
Like one workout a day
Yeah.
is not going to break the bank
No.
with a trainer.
Here's like part of the reason why I was happy that I trained with you was because when I would train before meeting you and all that jazz, I would just train on my own, and I train from home or train from the gym, whatever, and like I didn't know the best methods or even the best workouts to do or how to do some of the workouts. And it wasn't until I trained with you that you showed me not just which workouts will do what, but also like body position and all those different things, technique, like all those things that made a difference. And it didn't take me very long. I maybe worked out with you for like, I'm just going to say like 3 to 6, I don't even remember because it was so long ago.
Body shifts
3,
right away.
4, 5 months, something like that. But my whole thing was, I'm going to intake everything that Graham teaches me so that I know how to do it for future. By the end of it, we were doing those, I forget what they're called, but when we were jumping with the weights,
What were we
with
doing?
the deadlift bar or whatever.
Oh, I think I was just showing.
They were like squats, but we were hopping. That shit
I
was
was
crazy.
doing like frog
Yeah,
jumps with you.
yeah. So, the first time I did that with the bar, I couldn't even, because my body wasn't used to that shape, right? And then you were teaching me, your body's too slanted this way, you gotta be, and I got form, so you taught me form, all that jazz. Once I learned all that stuff, now I know. Now I could go to the gym without you, and I have everything that you taught me. So you don't even need a personal trainer forever.
You need a degree of motivation.
Yeah, but if you you want to go to the gym, you don't know how to work out, all that jazz, get a trainer like Graham, whether it be for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, just short term, and have them teach you the proper forms and methods. And then from there on, you're good to go because you know everything that they've taught you. And if you want to continue with them for motivation and just for regular purposes or to advance, and go for it. Otherwise, now I train by myself from home. I've got my barbells and all that on the other side of this room type of thing with my yoga mat. And I do it from here.
But I think if you ever listen to Tony Robbins, or maybe you don't like him, or maybe you do, he says that if you want to change, because a lot of people are in this kind of conundrum where they know what they need to do. They just got to show up at the gym and start lifting weights and dust off that old program the trainer sent them.
Totally.
Because everyone's got a program they're not following.
Yeah.
And they just haven't made that their standard. Because, what does he say? He says, you don't get your goals, but you always get your standards. See, like, I got this standard where I have to be in shape. I have to be X amount of, this amount of muscle that I want.
Totally.
I have to have this level of body fat. These are all part of this is my standard. I don't drop below that. It's like, when people go, well, I would never drive anything cheaper than a BMW.
Yeah.
The same applies to, like, your fitness level. Like, I would never let my body fat get out of control, or I would never not work out 5 days a week. Like, this is my standard. And it's not work for them, because they just set the mark, they set the benchmark, and then they just stuck to it. And they made their whole life revolve around that benchmark.
Yeah.
And you can do that, like Tony Robbins says, you can do that for all these areas of your life.
Of course.
You're like, you don't want to be in debt. Stop considering yourself, like, treating yourself and defining yourself as a person who is always trying to get out of debt. Start setting standard is like, you need 10,000 in your bank account at all times. That's your new standard.
Totally.
Well, get there and stay there. Don't keep sinking down.
Yeah.
But once you create that standard, and you do that with your fitness, so you have this ideal, and then you just set the marker there. You don't let yourself get below it.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't work out nonstop every day, and I don't have 6-pack. I got close.
Yeah.
I don't have a 6-pack. But to be honest, when I notice, I know when my body's letting go a bit. or when I'm sort of like
Yeah.
going beyond my standard.
You drop below it, and you're like, oh, right.
And then it turns on
Right.
its own, and I know I'm like,
okay,
oh
screw this.
shit, I had 3 mochas, like unknowingly, I had 3 mochas this week. What the fuck was I thinking? Okay, no mochas this week. Like, and I kind of balance it out and make sure that I get
life
back to where I was.
will kick you in the ass sometimes and drop you below that, but you just get yourself right back up, and you don't have to think about it. And ideally, you want to create all these different standards at the bare minimums in your life, and never drop. Keep yourself above them.
Yeah. Another thing is,
and I like to raise them sometimes. I go, okay, this standard that I've had for 5 years needs to raise. Yeah. I cannot be at the same place I was.
So you don't want to plateau.
I don't want to be here. So I'm going to take that standard. I'm going to raise it up to here.
Totally.
And I did that with my sport, which is like bodybuilding. I did that this year. I said, okay, you've always been kind of waffling around at the amateur level. It's time for you to go professional. Mm-hmm. So I raised the standard up, and I deleted all the pictures on my phone and put new ones in there of a higher standard. I'm like, okay, this is my goals now. My goals are not here. My goals are here.
Totally.
And I shouldn't say goals, like this is what I'm going to do. Like this is beyond a goal. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just going to do it because I need to better myself.
Of course, 100%.
But I think people don't truly believe that they are capable of doing it. They lack the confidence to
I think really another problem is, to be honest, dude, with me, man, like before I met with you, and this was what actually I was going to get into, was I had this feeling like not that I was an athlete, but I had a feeling like, dude, I'm not overweight. I'm just average. But in my mind, I had this feeling that I was like, I had power. Like, I could lift a weight, blah, 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 all this shit. But it wasn't until I worked out with you and I worked out with other guys that I saw, I'm like, holy shit, this guy is smaller than, not you, but like this individual is smaller than me and can lift twice, almost 3 times what I can lift like with one arm, which is like crazy. I'm like, and that snapped another thing. You're not as powerful as you think, or you're not as...
Oh, you get humbled.
Yeah. And I mean, we were working out, and I'm not saying girls don't have power. Girl power, 100%. I advocate for females, but let's be honest, guys
there.
That are the same size or weight or whatever should technically be able to lift more than the average girl, give or take, right?
You would think.
There were girls that we were working out with that were smaller than me, like literally 100 pounds. These girls were. They could deadlift double their weight, and I can even deadlift what they were deadlifting or whatever it may be. And that astonished me because I was like, holy crap. You were
appalled.
I wasn't appalled. I was like, I saw that, wow, this girl put in time and effort.
Put in the work.
She put in the work, but not only that, she can kick my ass. Like, she looks like I could beat the crap, not that I would. But, if we got in a fight, I would think, easy, I got this. This girl ain't gonna... She could knock me on my ass, and she's not even trained in fighting. It's just that she's so powerful and strong in her core and all that jazz. So when I worked out with you, that was another thing that I noticed.
Bit of an eye-opener.
Yeah, right? It was like, whoa. Like, wow. Like, if you've never been to a gym or you haven't gone, it can be intimidating. And that's why I always say, like, working out with Graham was great because you were the most intimidating person there, and I got to be with you, Yeah. So it was like, I was part of the intimidating.
Well, with you, it was like I knew I wouldn't have you drive from Coquitlam to Maple Ridge, this commute forever. So totally, the idea I don't a lot of like trainers that do what I do want to create a dependency.
Yeah.
Because once they get a client, they want to hold on to that client.
Totally.
Because it's like the cash cow, right?
Of course.
But I never really had that philosophy. Mm-hmm. And it probably has made me less money in the long run. Because I haven't worked on creating that dependency like typical businesses. Like when I train people, and I still do this, I teach them how to survive on their own.
Yeah.
And so not only am I coaching and teaching what to do, like good ideas and different nutritional strategies and training techniques, I'm teaching people to succeed without my presence. So I'm not going to hold their hand for the rest of their lives. They need to know why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that they can evolve, because the nutrition doesn't stay the same your whole life. It evolves with you.
Yeah.
So that they can take my principles and discard what maybe they don't want to keep that, but they know they've got some knowledge, and then they can run with that, and that gets them a really good start, because I try to give them the foundation of it.
Yeah.
With the ability to evolve. But other trainers, they keep their clients in the dark. They give them a nutrition plan, no discussion as to why they're eating what they're eating, and they tell them all these exercises to do. No discussion why they're doing that. It's just, here's what you do. Show up every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Turn your brain off. Don't think. Don't ask questions. Ask questions, I won't reply. And this creates like a client that's in the dark, completely in the dark of why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they love it, because then they show up every week and they don't ask questions. I never really understood why. I never wanted to do that, because I felt like I was robbing people of their own power.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I don't want to create like drones doing just versions of myself. I want people to blossom and become better and like empower themselves and start them deciding what they want to eat, them taking control, them grabbing the reins. Because it doesn't excite me when I see a client who's always just an obedient, like it reminds me of those characters on Warcraft, you know, when they remember Warcraft 2?
Yeah.
You remember that game?
Yeah, of course.
Like, I'm dating myself. I'm gonna say like 1998.
Yeah.
Maybe. But you would select the orc and you would tell him to chop wood.
Yeah.
When he's done chopping wood, he stands there. You got all these orcs sitting around that they don't understand what to do after they've completed their task. They've logged all the wood, or they've mined all the gold, and now they're useless. And I didn't want to create clients that would finish the exercise and just stand there like waiting. Like you need to. I wanted clients to understand, like, okay, this is what the whole point of this workout is. We are training, we are building a back today, and these are all the different angles, and these are our palette of exercises.
Yeah.
So you need to know, like, this is what we're working, and we're working through it. So when you're done this...
Of course, and that's exactly what you did for me, to be honest. Like, I now just go based on whatever, you know, like, I just know. I can't even describe it. When I feel like crap, I just know I'm like, oh, I haven't worked out this week, or I got to do this, and I know exactly what I need to do, whether it be changing my diet or eating less of this or working out more, what have you.
Another thing that grinds my gears, like, majorly about the sort of like the nutrition, the sports nutrition industry, is that it's so many fads right now. It's constant.
Yeah.
Like it's always been like that, but you know, like we've got what's popular right now, like the keto dieting. Everyone's talking about keto.
Yeah.
As if it's like some sort of new style of eating that no one's ever done before.
It's hard to even get into,
but
it's difficult. It takes time, and you got to be really disciplined.
But if you look, I keep going back to Rhonda Patrick's diet. She eats almost no starch. So there's elements of keto dieting in her nutrition plan, in her daily intake. She's not eating a lot of starch. So maybe she's not in ketosis, but she's definitely not feeding her body a lot of starch. So she's at periods in the day, like her body is responding in the same way it would to a keto diet. So it's keeping her leaner. Totally. It's keeping her body probably less inflammation and less fat storage from it. Yeah. So you don't have to jump on a diet fad and follow everything. You just have to understand why someone is doing why keto is popular and why it works. Because the elements of it are like, the concept is sound. So if you can borrow from that and like work it into your day, be like, well, you don't need carbs every bloody meal. Yeah. You don't. Like, you can have a chicken and a bunch of veggies and like an avocado. If that is sufficient for you at that time of day, then you don't need 2 cups of rice to go with it. Yeah. Or you're just going to continue, you can feel heavy, or you feel like, you know, like it's too much starch. Yeah. So when I look at these fads, I'm like, don't take the entire fad, read the book, and follow every detail of it. No, you're missing the fucking point. The point is eating low carb for a lot of people, not everybody, but for the masses, is going to help you in the long term, like manage your weight.
Totally.
So, yeah, getting back to my point, it's like you take a little bit of these fads and you just take the important piece of information and then you work it into your like life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the secret, not following every single detail.
Like, there's two types of way to look at this. Number one, there are people who compete that they have to be on that strict. Like, I see the guys and the girls that do what you have to do. You know, when you guys are getting ready to compete, you guys have that 6 month or that 1 year, whatever you're doing. And damn, right? Like, it's hard. It's not. They're not just like not eating this, not eating that. It's a diet. It's strict. It's regulated. Whereas with someone like me, I'm not competing. I'm a bit more relaxed because I don't have that goal that I have to meet in 6 months. A lot of people, be honest, man, like a lot of people, they get depleted doing that routine, right? Like you've probably felt it yourself.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's kind of like a fighter cutting weight. It's not fun. You know, it's definitely not fun.
I'm talking like when we have an audience like yours, I'm speaking to the masses here.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I go through as a competitive bodybuilder is way beyond what most people will ever have to deal with in their lives.
Yeah.
Being very, very strict with carb intake and making sure that you know I'm timing it out right so that my hormones balance out perfectly.
Yeah.
But for the average person, it's like they don't get the concept.
Totally.
And you know what I do is when I'm in the supermarket, I just peer into their carts and I'm appalled at what people put in their carts.
Yeah.
Like what, you know, especially Costco. It's like 24 cinnamon buns. Like how many people are in your family? No one can eat that many cinnamon buns.
Yeah.
Put that shit back.
Yeah.
Don't buy cinnamon buns in cases.
No shit.
What the hell? Like that's something that you barely could eat like once a month. Like just have one bun when you're in a pinch and you just as a once in a while. Like the things that people work into their day, it's like they have to eat, you know, 24 of something is way too much if it's garbage for your body.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But yeah, so I watched what people put in their carts and it's like, you know, you're really setting yourself up for failure. You could just, when you're hungry or you're flying by Tim Hortons or something, grab yourself a cinnamon bun. That way you don't have 23 more in the cupboard, right? And
they're gonna go stale and bad, so you have to eat them quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like people are just on autopilot. They're like, I'm hungry now. I'm going to buy, you know, 36 hot dogs. Like, you know what? Just because you're hungry now, like you need to think. You got to be conscious of what you're doing. It's like people on autopilot. Like just because you're hungry doesn't mean like people go. This is one thing that I don't recommend doing is shopping for food when you're starving, because your brain is telling you all these things. This looks good. That looks good, and you fill up and then imagine you're at Costco. With hungry. You're now filling up your cart with all this stuff that you're craving in the moment, but you haven't had dinner yet because you just quickly rush to the supermarket, and you know you're going to end up with some pretty like bad shit in your cart, like stuff you just shouldn't 100%. Be eating that, and it's in quantities you shouldn't be eating.
Yeah.
So I watch people and they're setting themselves up for failure constantly.
Totally. Like
they're creating an environment that makes it almost impossible to eat well, because then you go back to their house and what I like to do when I go over to people's houses, I kind of sneak into their cupboard and I look and I see what they stock their homes with.
Yeah.
And it's there's no way they're gonna eat well when, you know, there's the Oreo cookies staring at them. They've got you know, just bags and bags of chips. Like, if you buy all this stuff in advance, you're creating an environment where you're just susceptible to weakness all the time.
Of course.
Like, if you set your house up to be, like, successful, like your pantry, then you can have moments of weakness, but in order for you to get a bag of chips or a burrito, you actually have to get in your car, drive to Taco Bell, order the food. Like, it's just too much work.
Of course.
You're going to open up the cupboard because you're hungry, and it's like 2 steps away. You're going to eat what's staring at you.
Yeah.
So what I've understood and what I've learned in my history is, like, don't stock your house with garbage. But you can eat garbage.
Of course.
But just don't stock your house with it.
Yeah.
Because you'll get it. You'll find a way to get it, but don't make it so available.
Totally.
You know, put some good stuff in there on purpose, and then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%.
You have no idea how bad it is for like the systems that people create. Like I said, they set themselves up for failure.
I've been on both sides of the fence, and as I said, if I could recommend to anybody, if anybody's like, I want to lose weight, I don't want to work out, and nothing I do work, I promise you, if you find out how much sugar you're eating a day...
Sugar's a huge problem.
Huge. Number one problem I could say to anyone listening, I cut my sugar for a year, not even drastically, I just cut it for a year down. Like, I stopped having mochas, and instead I was having black coffees every day. And within a year, my body just went... Just from the sugar, not even including my cutting of carbs.
The problem
and dairy.
with sugar is that
it's so
bad. It is energy. I mean,
it's the wrong energy though. Here's the thing though. If you have sugar that's coming from grapes, even though it's sugar, I have no problem with that sugar.
It mean like fructose.
Yeah. If you have sugar coming from mocha chocolate syrup, I have a problem with that sugar.
Probably sucrose.
Yeah, I have a problem with that sugar. I have a problem with maple syrup sugar unless it's not sugar based. So if it's made
most
of
it's fake actually.
Shit, right?
Most of that maple syrup that we buy is not even real maple syrup.
But for the most part, if you're talking in general, I would stay away from sugars and I'd cut your carbs dramatically.
Yeah.
So if you have breads every day or rice every day, that's what knocked me. I had rice every day and mochas every day.
If we're going to say what are the main things that people need to worry about.
Yeah.
Like, most people, the goal is they want to trim up their midsection. They just want to lose a bit of weight.
Yeah.
Like, almost everybody, if you talk around, wants to lose a little bit of weight. Yeah. You're bang on with the sugar because it's the amount that comes in our diet. If you start counting it, you'll be appalled.
Yeah.
Like, you could use MyFitnessPal or you just write it down on a piece of paper. It's appalling. You'll be at like 120 and going, oh, I'm way over my limit.
Exactly. And that's why I said the 25 grams. You have no idea how, when I started measuring that 25 grams, how quickly in one day I reached my cap. Yeah. It was within the morning. It's done. I can't eat any more sugar that day unless I want to go work out for another hour. It's crazy. So then... That's when I cut out the mochas. Yeah, that's when I cut out sugars in general. I stopped putting sugar in my coffee, and I started slowly going to all black. I don't even do stevia or anything like that. Like, I don't know if it's used any better or worse, but I just just forget stevia.
Tastes right.
I would just really spend one day. If you're listening to this and you're wondering if sugar
Mahyar's
is a thing.
tips.
Mahyar's tips, because I'm such a health nut.
I'm getting ripped.
Spend one day, your average day of your eating. I want you to find out how much sugar is in all the food that you're eating per gram. And then I want you to add up that amount of sugar and see how much it adds up to the end of the day. I promise you, easy you'll go over 50 grams. Easy. I'll like say that as very realistic. Easily over 50 grams for the average person, no problem. Especially if you drink a Coke or Pepsi.
It's not even that you have to keep within some arbitrary number, like 25 or whatever the grams are. But when you do the tally, you'll see. Like, it's just educational for you. You're like, oh shit, this is where I'm taking in 40 grams of sugar, and I was unaware. Yeah. Like, you just need to do it to like realize it. Yeah. Like, what I get my clients to do when I'm working with them nutritionally is I have them submit to me, like I have them write down an entire day.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's not that the day, like, that's part of it. Yeah, I need to see what they're doing because I need to see like where we need to work on. But just the fact that they're writing it out, when they see it on paper, they're like, oh, it doesn't look very good, does it? Because in your mind, it's like you gloss it over.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you know, I have this and this and this. Wait till you see what you eat. Just write that down. Write your whole day down, and then stick it in MyFitnessPal or whatever, or count your sugar. But just put it down on paper, and it's eye-opening. It's eye-opening for everybody. Totally. Even when you've been doing it as long as I have, when I write down my diet, I'm like, oh yeah, I just noticed how high that is. Mm-hmm. So once in a while, I'll work on my own nutrition, and I'll rebuild it, because, you know, it always evolves, right?
Of course.
And you can make it better. So I'm in the process right now of rebuilding my own nutrition, and I have to put it down on paper to see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's still, I'm like, I get a little concerned sometimes when I write it down. I'm like, okay, this is a little low. Maybe I can bring this up. Doesn't look as good as Rhonda Patrick's. And I just judge myself, and then, you know, but I get angry and start to redo it. And it's good, I think, for people to like get a visual.
I think it's the most important thing. And I mean, there are people who don't get it. My dad is one of them. For the past year and a half, he went from just having like a regular sort of like average belly to looking like he is going to give birth to 2 children. So he looks like he has twins. And every day I tell him, I'm like, what are you eating? Like, I'm not trying to body shame you, but you are getting significantly bigger.
You're fat.
Yeah.
No body shaming, but you're...
And one day he was in his kitchen, and I see he's poured cereal. Okay, cool. Eating cereal. Whatever. It was Raisin Bran, which I know you have a problem with Raisin Bran to begin with. So, already he's having Raisin Bran with milk. Okay?
Yeah.
Dude, he goes into the fridge, grabs some walnuts and almonds. Cool. Okay, sure, some nuts. Goes into the freezer. I am not shitting you, Graham. Takes a scoop of vanilla ice cream. Adds it to his cereal that already has milk in it. Oh, you think he's done? No. Takes honey. Just does a nice swirl of honey like he just went to some dessert place and got some crazy... The thing is, my dad has no sense of food or nutrition. To him, food and nutrition are one and the same, meaning that I'm hungry, I'm going to eat whatever, and that I just need something to fuel the fire or whatever.
Like he's not consciously choosing.
He's not thinking of, like, he just knows sugar tastes good. I'm going to eat more. He doesn't know that that's what's causing his belly to grow. He doesn't realize that he may be hungry, but what he's eating is just going to make him more hungry an hour later because it's not proper energy stored fuel. Like, I
mean, humanity is at a place where we need to be told these things.
Of course.
Because we are... the lack of knowledge, or it's like you said, he's not conscious.
Yeah.
You need to like snap him out of this.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Dad, like this is, you're just eating straight sugar.
Yeah.
Like this is not good for your health.
Totally.
So a lot of, I mean, I pick on baby boomers all the time because they're some of the worst.
Of course.
They've gone their whole lives eating like TV dinners, and, like craft dinner. They were sort of a victim of the processed food, like industry, whatever you want to call that, right? Like the boom of processed food. Yeah. Coca-Cola, French fries, Pop-Tarts, all the freezer food came out with our parents' generation. Yeah. So 40, 50, like probably 50, 60 somethings right now, they grew up on this. So taking that away from them, they get a little bit, whoa, this is all I know. Totally. It's foreign to them. But it's a little easier, I find, with the youth right now. They kind of understand that. But first we have to get people to be conscious and just give them the tools. So you need to take away the ice cream and just get him on oatmeal or something, or like some sort of something.
There's no
better.
sugar,
like
you won't eat that.
Kind of get more vegetables in your dad's diet, but it's a lot of work with those people because they're also very resistant.
Is it sweet? It gives you that craving. If I have cake one day, the rest of the week I kind of want a cookie or yeah, I'm craving something.
You talk about like addiction, like sugar is probably the most addictive substance on the planet.
Yeah, so
like there were some rat studies. I don't know if we could ever bring those up, but showing that it's like heroin. It's like more addictive than heroin.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In rats. Yeah,
I'll tell you this much: when I stopped consuming sugar, I felt lighter, like instantly. I feel great. Like I know now, and I can't even fathom, like when I think about my diet before, how I used to have like a Pepsi Cola with my meal like almost every day or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? Like, how did I not know?
And isn't it weird that you have sugar one day, a big dose of it, it comes back to you like 4 hours later. You're like, I feel like I could have something sweet again.
Totally.
And now every day at 5 o'clock, you're like, I feel like I should have something sweet. Yeah. It's like, it's so perpetually addictive. It puts you in this like horrible cycle.
Totally.
And your dad is obviously in that cycle.
My dad is in that cycle, and I can't get him out.
Like ice cream and honey on top of raisin bran.
Ice cream, honey, milk.
Doesn't actually sound so bad.
Walnuts and almonds, which is probably the best part of the whole thing. He might put some sugar into that. Dude, this guy makes the most... Shit. Like, he concocts, like, just crazy shit. Just whatever tastes delicious. Put it all in one thing. Blend it up and let me drink it or eat it. He's crazy. Wow. He's the type that, like, he'll make fried eggs, and then he'll take a piece of bread and he'll wipe down all the oil in the pan, soak it up in the bread, and he'll eat the bread. That's the kind of eating that my dad does. So, sorry, Dad, for hating on you, but it's the truth.
I think, like, I can see where humanity is going. Like, right now, we're in a place where we need to put a wrench in the bad eating. We need to get to stop people from eating. We just need to give them better options, get better food coming in. Because people aren't, like, I don't believe that people are in tune with their bodies right now. Yeah. As a whole. Mm-hmm. If we were, you could be like, you know what, just eat what makes you feel good. And then people would be like, you're right, salads make me feel better. Whole food makes me feel better. Nutrient-rich food but people aren't at that place. Totally. So I want to preach that. I want to say, look, you really need to get in touch with your body. But I can't even say that because like where your father is and like he's indicative. Like he's not alone. That's where everybody is. Mm-hmm. They're not even aware of what they're doing, and it's like we gotta get in there and just start throwing wrenches in there. Totally. Like, okay, no. Yeah. We need a better alternative to your ice cream and your raisin bran. Like, we gotta fix this. Yeah. We'll worry about your spirituality later. Yeah. Like where you are and how you feel, and get you in tune with your body later on. But first things first, we need to fix the nutrition with pretty much all of the whole world right now. Mm-hmm. We have a massive obesity and overweight epidemic right now. And it's because the food is just like, it's so processed and so far removed and so nutrient poor that people are nutritionally starved. They're eating more energy, like more calories, but they're not getting the micronutrients. So they're caught in the wheel of trying to eat more ice cream and more cake to try to like get those nutrients, but they're not getting them. They're just getting fatter. Totally. They're storing in his body fat. The availability of food has to change. Yeah. And while that's happening, we need to get people get them to wake up, make some better choices. But at the same time, we can't have so much processed food at your fingertips. 100%. Because you're just making it impossible for people to get anywhere, basically. And then why is it that healthy food's always like twice the price of like, you know what I mean? Or twice less available too, right? Because
it actually takes time to make. You know, like the other shit is cheap because it's easy to make. Yeah. It's, you know, it's all the shit. So
I think it's shifting. Like, if you've seen how many Freshies or...
Yeah, exactly. They're opening a couple more. But not even that. Let's take it to Whole Foods, things like that. We didn't have those things 10, 15, 20 years ago. We didn't have the internet.
It's a response to where we went.
Yeah, you know, so things are getting better. You know? Like, if I'm picking it up that I shouldn't be eating sugars, then other people are too, you know? And if you know Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and so do I, then obviously information's getting out there. But you and I are both somewhat, well, at least I'm somewhat, you definitely are a healthy human being. So maybe we're just more aware. Whereas my dad is just still blinder mode. Mm-hmm. You can tell him a million times he won't listen, but that is what it is.
Yeah, to leave on that on a positive note, I do feel like we're working, like as a humanity is working really hard to start to shift this this problem we're in. Like, it's the knowledge is there. Like, there's so much knowledge, but there's so little in practice. And we're in this transitionary period now where fast food is in a shift, supermarkets are in a shift, our knowledge base is in a shift. Hopefully, like, elementary schools and high schools are shifting their.
I think they are. I think they've been shifting since we were.
Because
in high
I mean,
school.
that's a huge problem too.
Yeah,
like,
I think a lot of schools actually took vending machines out, like something like that had candy.
Like I remember when I was in school, like it was chicken fingers and fries and just really junk food for lunch.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they still have things like that, but I think they've offered.
But I'm optimistic. I know we're moving in the right direction with it.
Definitely.
And I can see that healthy food's starting to reduce the prices coming down just slightly. And we're getting fast food options that are actually healthy.
Okay, we have to do another episode like sooner than later, because we didn't even get into your story really, which is part of what I want to talk about. But it's okay. Literally, seriously, like within the next 20 episodes, I want to definitely have you back and talk about your actual story, your brother a bit more, all that jazz. But is there anything you want to say, mention, plug, do? Where can people catch you? All that jazz.
Well, if you guys are interested in sports nutrition, you can check me out at Cutting Edge Nutrition. We're on Facebook and also on Instagram. And if you're interested in fitness coaching or health coaching, check out my website. It's www.teamgenetics.com. Mahyar will spell it out for you underneath.
I will.
I have all sorts of services where I can help with either workouts, nutrition. I take on a lot of clients who I guide them through to achieve their goals. So definitely check that out. And if you guys are interested, hit me up. I also have single serving kratom. Since we talked about that, you can get that from me as well. I'm pretty available. Just hit me up anytime.
And Cutting Edge Nutrition, did you mention that?
Yeah.
Store. And what's this?
I might as well plug my sponsor.
Plug it.
Perfect Sports sponsors me. They make some pretty high quality nutritional supplements. This here is a isolate whey protein. It's great for you guys if you want to lose weight. This one's called Creed. They also make a product called Diesel. If you guys are heavy into sports nutrition or just want a good quality protein, Diesel is a New Zealand whey that's grass-fed cattle. No artificial sweeteners, no artificial flavors in the Diesel. It's just super high grade and really, really clean. Great quality proteins these guys make. They make a whole bunch of other stuff, and you can get this from me too. And if you mention this podcast, I'll knock off 15% off your purchase.
Bam.
So not a problem.
Podcast special. So mention No Offense City Podcast, or you could just mention my name, whatever. I'm sure he'll do it either way. Go visit Graham at his store. Go contact Graham if you need any help with nutrition or health or fitness, what have you. If he can't help you for what you're looking for, he will direct you to somebody who can. I will put all the links to the description below. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Don't forget, if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be entered to win a 10-tree hat. So keep that in mind.
And I'm going to throw in this protein as well, so you're also entered to win this bucket of vanilla cupcake protein.
Nice.
Throw that in.
We're going to put this as for people who listen to this podcast specifically then.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're watching or listening to this podcast and you've watched to the very end, I thank you. So put down Graham Chan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, put Graham Chan in the comments down below. And for the next podcast that I do, podcast episode 4, I will pick somebody at random, and whoever it is will win. If nobody comments, I'm going to give it away at random to a subscriber, just in case.
All right.
Podcasts don't get comments that often, but we'll see. So thank you guys for listening and watching, and we will catch you next time. Peace
out.